Nagash, treated as a disappointment because of his plant magic, was expelled from his family and assigned to govern the abandoned 12th Dominion. Meanwhile, he learned that the territory had been left without a lord for centuries, making others view him with pity. Suddenly, a flood of unfamiliar information rushed into his mind. Overwhelmed by the memories, he realized they belonged to a previous life. After calming himself, understood he had been reincarnated. Organized his thoughts and decided to rely on the knowledge stored in his memories. After inspecting the ruined residence, he realized the neglected building needed immediate repairs. Remembering a method from his previous life, he chose to test his plant magic. Standing outside, he activated a spell and directed magical energy into the surrounding vegetation. Moments later, massive trees expanded around the house, forming a sturdy treehouse from the abandoned structure. After completing the treehouse, rested briefly and admired the result of his first large-scale spell. Checking his condition, he realized his magical power remained far below the level he remembered. Curiosity led him inside, where the furnished interior exceeded his expectations. To recover from exhaustion, he experimented with another plant-based spell. Soon, a magical fruit tree sprouted indoors, providing valuable ingredients and proving his plant magic could be used in many ways. Satisfied with the fruit's effects, decided to improve his territory gradually, rather than rushing his plans. 2 weeks passed as he produced large quantities of recovery fruits, through repeated use of plant magic. One day, traveling merchants from the Nyafu race arrived and requested permission to cross his land. After granting their request, welcomed them and received a gift in return. In exchange, hoping to create a beneficial trading opportunity. The merchants were stunned when they recognized the blue fruit as a rare healing berry with exceptional value. After calming down, their leader explained that healing berries were scarce due to limited supplies of ingredients. Listening carefully, realized the shortage affected potion production across many regions. Further inspection confirmed the berry's quality far exceeded anything the merchants had previously encountered. Offered to sell the berries, and the grateful merchants eagerly agreed to purchase them. Relieved by the merchants' interest, offered his entire stock of healing berries for sale. The Nyafu merchants were astonished by the quantity and gladly accepted the offer. Before leaving, their leader asked whether similar trades could continue in the future. Recognizing the mutual benefits, agreed to maintain a long-term business relationship. With the deal settled, the merchants began evaluating the berries, marking the start of first successful trade partnership. The appraisal revealed that each healing berry was worth far more than had expected. Meanwhile, the merchants explained that the berries were extremely rare and difficult to obtain elsewhere. Holding the payment, saw such a large amount of money for the first time since arriving in the territory. After learning that the coins could buy food, he eagerly planned his first proper meal. They wondered whether the source of the valuable berries should be investigated further. Successful trade, the merchants discussed background, and were surprised by how approachable the young noble had been. During their conversation, they noted that receiving authority over a territory at his age carried heavy expectations. Observing his actions, the merchants became convinced that was determined to develop the abandoned land. As a result, they decided to establish a local base and support his growing domain. Hearing their proposal, seeing an opportunity to strengthen his territory's future, the merchants revealed that they had already chosen the area as the location for a future trading base. They remained unconcerned because they were accustomed to harsh living conditions. Moved by their trust, officially permitted them to settle within his territory. The decision surprised the merchants, who had not expected such generosity from a noble. Wanting to improve their lives immediately, began using his plant magic to create proper housing for them. Using his plant magic once again, quickly created a massive treehouse for the merchants to live in. The Nyafu merchants stared in disbelief as a completed home appeared before them within moments. Explained that he would continue improving the settlement, little by little. Grateful for his kindness, the merchants pledged their loyalty and promised to support his rule. A few days later, news of the healing berries reached a pharmacist guild from a distant city. Pharmacist named Anata struggled with a severe shortage of ingredients. At that moment, the Nyafu merchants arrived carrying a large supply of healing berries. Shock quickly spread across Anata's face as she realized the berries were both rare and available in enormous quantities. When asked about their source, the merchants revealed they had obtained them from a young noble's territory. Recognizing a valuable opportunity, the merchants proposed sending a pharmacist to the land. Hearing about the territory's abundant ingredients, Anata immediately volunteered to travel there and manage potion production. Excitement quickly overcame her as she accepted the opportunity without hesitation. Meanwhile, providing homes and better living conditions for the growing community. The merchants informed him that a skilled pharmacist from Zanzas would soon arrive to assist the territory. Not long afterward, the merchants returned and announced that Anata had successfully completed her journey. Noel returned with Anata and introduced the skilled pharmacist to Elt, assuring him she could contribute to the territory. Upon arriving, Anata immediately noticed the abundance of healing berries. She formally introduced herself as the Vice Guild Master of Zanza's Pharmacist Guild. After meeting Elt, Anata inspected the supplies she had brought and confirmed they were suitable for potion production. Elt realized the tools could help create advanced medicines and treat more serious conditions. Anata discovered that Elt possessed knowledge of advanced potion-making techniques and became deeply interested in his abilities. Curiosity led her to ask about the origins of his rare methods and unusual expertise. Recognizing her dedication, Elt allowed Anata to remain and work in the territory. Grateful for the opportunity, Anata chose to settle there, increasing the domain's growing population. Elt announced Noel's safe return and introduced a new resident, prompting plans for a village celebration. Meanwhile, the newcomer felt honored by the warm welcome and admired the kindness of the territory. While preparations continued, Elt considered testing a newly learned spell that required immense magical power. After weighing the risks, he decided to put the magic into practice. Moments later, the spell succeeded, summoning a wooden soldier to assist the growing settlement. Elt infused magic into a sapling, causing it to expand and take shape before his eyes. Next, he guided the growing wood with precise instructions, directing the form toward a humanoid body. Soon, a towering treeman emerged, completing the creation of a powerful wood soldier. Satisfied with the result, Elt gave the golem a name and accepted it as a new helper. Its first duty involved harvesting fruits and organizing them, easing the workload across the settlement. Later, Ligo returned carrying crates of freshly gathered fruit, drawing everyone's attention. Seeing the harvest, the visitors were amazed by the variety and quantity on display. Although they expressed great excitement, Elt treated the abundance as something ordinary. Their surprise grew after learning that such fruits were considered rare and expensive in many regions. Hearing this, Elt compared it with his past knowledge and quietly questioned their true value. The guests happily accepted the fruits, treating them as precious gifts from the settlement. Watching their reactions, Elt felt satisfied that everyone was enjoying the celebration. As night arrived, the village gathered for a lively feast filled with food, laughter, and shared memories. Elt reflected on the pleasant gathering and looked forward to making potions with Analia. Meanwhile, Analia struggled with the effects of drinking too much and regretted her behavior from the previous night. Later, Elt visited Analia and decided to continue their planned potion-making session. Meanwhile, Analia remained embarrassed as memories of the previous night lingered in her mind. Rather than criticizing her, Elt reassured her and viewed the incident as proof she had enjoyed herself. Gradually, the awkward mood faded while they shared their enthusiasm for potion research. Seeing her spirits recover, Elt felt relieved and brought the conversation to a cheerful close. Although Analia was still flustered, she insisted on helping and prepared herself for the task. Soon, the pair gathered ingredients and arranged the tools needed for potion making. To avoid mistakes, Elt demonstrated the process first while Analia carefully observed each step afterward. He repeated the procedure methodically, turning his previous knowledge into practical results. While working, Elt examined an unfamiliar herb and considered how it might be used in future potions. As the lesson continued, Analia explained a mixing technique she had learned at the academy. However, Elt questioned the method and suggested that the extra step might be unnecessary. Realizing their knowledge differed, he decided to follow the approach he understood best. Carefully processing the ingredients, Elt completed each stage while observing the results closely. Before long, the potion was finished, confirming that his method worked successfully. When Elt called out to Analia, her nervous reaction immediately caught his attention. Overwhelmed by the successful result, she nearly lost consciousness while admiring the completed potion. After recovering, Analia listened, as Elt suggested testing the potion's effectiveness. Since she possessed the most knowledge about potions, Elt entrusted the evaluation to her. Gathering her resolve, Analia accepted the responsibility and prepared to drink the potion herself. Without hesitation, Analia drank the potion and carefully checked for any differences. To Elt's relief, she declared the experiment a success and praised the potion's quality. Soon afterward, the potion's effect became clear as her lingering hangover completely disappeared. Excited by the result, Analia realized that effective potions could be made with a simpler method. Recognizing its potential, she explained how the discovery could greatly influence future potion production and trade. A few days later, the settlement had produced a large stock of potions ready for distribution. Meanwhile, Elt explored other profitable goods and tested fruit products that could boost trade. With sales increasing, Analia accepted responsibility for managing the growing workload. To attract more residents, Elt had her prepare letters promoting opportunities within the territory. After reviewing the plan, Analia believed the offer would persuade many people to relocate. During their discussion, Analia suggested recruiting adventurers who were struggling to earn a living elsewhere. Because healing potions were scarce, many adventurers lacked the support needed for dangerous expeditions. Beyond that, the surrounding wilderness remained largely unexplored and contained abundant resources waiting to be gathered. According to Analia, gathering adventurers would gladly relocate if better opportunities became available. Hearing the proposal, Elt recognized its potential and grew optimistic about attracting many new settlers. Before long, Wood gained the ability to speak, showing that Elt's plant magic was steadily growing stronger. Across the settlement, plant magic supplied essential resources and supported the villagers' daily lives. As production increased, the territory became more prosperous and stable than before. Looking over the expanding domain, Elt felt confident that his plans would continue succeeding. With everything progressing smoothly, he left Wood behind and headed out to patrol the surrounding area. While patrolling the village, Elt was stopped by Brown, who urgently wanted to report a strange discovery. Elt learned that a mysterious tree statue had appeared near the settlement. Based on Brown's description, the statue seemed connected to one of the giant trees created by Elt's magic. Curious about the unexpected development, Elt asked to be taken directly to the location. Soon, Brown guided him through the forest and pointed out the unusual tree standing ahead. Approaching the strange statue, Elt discovered that it resembled an elf trapped within the tree. Brown explained that the figure represented Stella, a legendary hero honored throughout the region. Upon closer inspection, Elt sensed faint magic lingering inside the statue and decided to investigate further. Attempting to move the tree with his plant magic, he found that the spell failed unexpectedly. Suddenly, the statue broke apart, revealing a living elf who had been sealed inside all along. Elt found a small elf trapped inside a tree and carefully tried to help her. Confusion filled his mind as the strange girl appeared. After he used plant magic on a wooden statue, despite his attempts to command the tree, the elf remained stuck and simply watched him. Later, a healer examined her condition and found nothing unusual about her body. After reaching the village, Elt introduced himself while the rescued elf stayed close beside him. At the clinic, the rescued elf politely greeted everyone as Elt listened to the introductions. She revealed her name as Stella Naristar and confirmed that she was an elf. Surprise spread through the room when the others recognized the name as that of a legendary hero from centuries ago, prompting Elt to ask how she had become a wooden statue. A hidden truth emerged as Stella explained that the form had been created by a powerful magical. Elt learned that Stella had been trapped inside a wooden statue after using a dangerous magical item to recover her stamina. Sympathy filled the room as the others imagined the long years she had spent unable to move. Meanwhile, treating the ordeal as something already left behind, attention soon shifted when Elt questioned whether she was truly the legendary hero from history. Interest deepened after her reputation surfaced, revealing that Stella had once wielded extraordinary strength magic. Stories about Stella's legendary strength spread as her past feats were recalled. Amusement followed when she casually demonstrated power that seemed impossible to ordinary people. Embarrassment appeared on Stella's face as exaggerated tales continued to surface. Wanting proof, Elt quickly created a piece of ebony with his plant magic. Without hesitation, Stella accepted the request and prepared to show her strength once more. A single squeeze shattered the ebony into splinters, proving Stella's legendary strength beyond doubt. Satisfied with the result, Elt accepted that the elf before him was the real hero. The conversation then turned to her future and whether she would resume her old life. Instead of leaving, Stella quietly asked for permission to remain in the territory. After reflecting on her long isolation, Elt realized she had nowhere else to return and considered letting her stay. Relief spread through the room as Elt allowed Stella to remain in the territory for as long as she wished. Gratitude followed immediately, and Stella expressed her desire to repay the kindness she had received. Soon, the villagers warmly welcomed her, while Stella promised to do her best alongside them. An awkward moment emerged when talk of her former fiancé resurfaced from the past. Embarrassment quickly replaced confidence as detailed stories about her old adventures. A peaceful arrangement was proposed, allowing Stella to stay freely as long as she contributed to the territory. Laughter filled the room when the others reacted to her unusually simple wish for a quiet life. Contentment soon appeared on Stella's face as she accepted the offer without hesitation. Determination followed, leading her to pledge her support and service to Eylt. Mutual respect marked the beginning of a new chapter, as everyone welcomed Stella into their growing community. Several days later, Noel returned to the territory and eagerly reported back to Eylt. Behind him stretched a long caravan, bringing many travelers through the forest road. Confusion crossed Eylt's face as he wondered why such a large group had arrived. Pride filled Noel as he revealed that every newcomer wished to settle in the territory. Further explanation followed when Noel assured Eylt that each person had been carefully evaluated before joining the growing settlement. New settlers continued arriving, including adventurers who were drawn to the territory's peaceful atmosphere. Among the newcomers was Analia, who chose to visit despite still having responsibilities elsewhere. Surprise spread across Eylt's face as more familiar people appeared than he had expected. Proud of the result, Noel explained that the territory's growth reflected Eylt's leadership. Meanwhile, Eylt looked over the flourishing land and realized that his efforts had created opportunities that attracted people from many places. Appreciation filled Eylt's heart as he received praise for everything the territory had achieved. Soon afterward, Noel reminded everyone that another important report still remained. Excitement quickly replaced the calm atmosphere when news of a major development was revealed. Curiosity grew as Noel reacted enthusiastically and hinted at the significance of the event. Meanwhile, Eylt learned that a renowned S-rank adventurer had arrived, bringing valuable opportunities for the territory's future growth. Discussion shifted to the newly arrived adventurer as Eylt considered how her abilities might benefit the territory. An official letter from the Adventurers Guild soon arrived, carrying an important proposal. The guild wished to establish a cooperative relationship with Eylt's territory. After reviewing the offer, Eylt concluded that accepting it would be the most practical choice. Careful thought guided his decision, as he focused on the territory's future potential, rather than its current resources. Confidence filled Eylt as he revealed that the territory possessed another advantage beyond plant magic. Attention soon turned to Stella, whose fame and reputation could strengthen ties with the Adventurers Guild. Meanwhile, Stella quietly worked in the fields, while the others discussed her growing influence. Before long, visitors arrived and explored the expanding settlement built among enormous trees. Amazement spread through the newcomers as they discovered that the towering trees served as homes for the territory's residents. Concern arose as Eylt realized the available housing would not be enough for all the newcomers. Rather than delaying development, he decided to expand the settlement before addressing other plans. Plant magic gathered around his hands as he prepared a new solution. Moments later, massive tree houses emerged one after another across the territory. Shock spread through the crowd as they witnessed Eylt effortlessly create entire homes in a matter of moments. Awe spread among the newcomers as they realized the territory's prosperity was supported by Eylt's extraordinary magic. Respect for the young lord grew stronger while people reflected on his achievements. Although praise continued to circulate, Eylt quietly believed his success came from constant effort and improvement. The following day, attention shifted toward formal discussions with the Adventurers Guild. Soon afterward, Eylt reviewed the guild's proposal and prepared to consider the opportunities it offered the territory. Careful negotiations continued as Eylt reviewed the terms of cooperation with the Adventurers Guild. Agreement came easily when both sides recognized the value of the healing potions produced in the territory. Attention then shifted to transportation, with the guild offering support for moving supplies efficiently. After considering the proposal, Eylt acknowledged the practical benefits it would bring. Satisfied that the main conditions had been settled, he turned to Stella and prepared to entrust her with an important task. Eylt assigned Stella a simple mission: represent the territory at the Adventurers Guild in Zanzas. His true goal was to strengthen goodwill and build a friendly relationship with the city's people. Though hesitant at first, Stella agreed to take on the responsibility. Confusion followed when Eylt asked her not to work too hard despite giving her the task. An emotional memory surfaced as Stella recalled her lonely past, leaving Eylt scrambling to apologize for unintentionally upsetting her. Awkwardly searching for the right words, Eylt tried to reassure Stella and offered his friendship. With new friends, loyal residents, and a steadily expanding settlement, Eylt's territory entered another promising stage of growth. Eylt entered the western forest with a group, hoping to find a suitable gift for the Adventurers Guild. Around him, participants spread out and began searching among the dense trees and plants. After noticing useful materials nearby, he directed others to gather them, while examining the area himself. Soon, his plant magic revealed information about the surrounding vegetation and their properties. He focused on plants alone, uncovering valuable resources hidden throughout the forest. As Eylt explored deeper, he realized his plant magic worked far better than expected. Guided by the information flowing into his mind, he located a patch of valuable silver clovers hidden among the trees, watching from behind. The other participants grew impressed by his remarkable knowledge of plants. Elt sensed the presence of a dryad nearby and warned everyone to stop moving, while even his companions struggled to believe such a rare creature lived in the forest. The pair discussed the rare dryad, realizing its existence would be an extraordinary discovery. Using his plant magic, Elt searched the forest and followed the clues hidden among the vegetation. Before long, he noticed a suspiciously large tree standing deeper within the woods. Curiosity led him closer as he examined the unusual tree from nearby. Moments later, a white rose dryad revealed herself, making Elt's search a complete success. Elt greeted the white rose dryad, and she welcomed him without fear. After learning about the nearby settlement, the dryad assured him the forest belonged to everyone. Soon, Elt noticed her withered tree and listened to her concerns. Hearing that the tree would soon need to be moved deeper into the forest, he searched for a solution. An idea emerged as Elt realized his plant magic could create a large tree house for her. The dryad was delighted when Elt used his plant magic to create a massive tree house. After seeing her reaction, he explained that more homes could be made if needed. A new concern emerged as the dryad revealed she wanted to stay together with her companions. His companion proposed another solution and suggested a better place to live. Soon the idea of moving to Elt's village appealed to the dryads, who found the proposal surprisingly attractive. The dryad sensed Elt's connection with plants and felt reassured by his presence. Without hesitation, she decided that she and her companions would stay together wherever they went. In response, Elt offered them a place in his village and promised suitable tree houses. Gratitude quickly spread among the dryads as they accepted his generous proposal. Excitement soon replaced their worries, and the group eagerly prepared to move to their new home. Back at the village, Elt created a massive treehouse to serve as the dryads' new home. Seeing the completed structure, the dryads happily expressed their appreciation for his effort. Meanwhile, Elt learned more about the dryads and discovered that they were a peaceful race. Life in the village soon suited them well, and their gardening skills flourished. Their remarkable ability to cultivate valuable plants revealed just how beneficial their arrival would be. As the dryads settled into village life, Elt realized they were becoming valuable allies. A week later, their gardening efforts produced a wide variety of medicinal herbs for the territory. When Elt asked about healing berries, Titoka estimated they could be harvested within days instead of months. Their extraordinary cultivation abilities impressed everyone and proved how useful the dryads truly were. A letter arrived from the Adventurers Guild, bringing news that caught Elt's attention. A letter arrived from the three major guilds, urgently requesting Elt's presence in the city of Zanzas. He learned that adventurers had discovered a strange metal deep within the forest. At the same time, the guilds formally accepted the proposals he had submitted earlier. Relief followed as Elt realized the agreement would improve trade and transportation across the region. With the matter settled, he prepared to travel to Zanzas and investigate the newly discovered metal. Before departing for Zanzas, Elt assigned the investigation to his trusted companions, rather than joining the expedition himself. He encouraged them to handle the task and report their findings. Filled with determination, the group set off confidently toward their destination. Watching them leave, their companion admired Elt's ability to inspire others. Appreciation for his leadership continued to grow, strengthening the trust shared among the members of his territory. Instead of waiting for reports, Elt decided to spend his time improving the village himself. Together with his companion, he headed toward the Dryad settlement to inspect their progress. Near the great tree, he found the dryads working diligently on new projects. While observing the area, Elt discussed suitable plants and trees that could thrive there. Fresh ideas emerged as he considered cultivating coconuts and other useful crops for the village. The dryads happily finished preparing the soil and gathered around the work area. Once everyone arrived, they began a unique activity that involved the freshly loosened ground. Soon, dozens of dryads buried themselves in the soft earth with visible satisfaction watching the scene. Elt was reminded of something similar from his previous life. The mystery was quickly explained when he learned the dryads used mud baths to refresh themselves. While observing the dryads, Elt learned that staying close to soil and plants helped them feel calm and comfortable. Later he discovered that crops grew unusually fast wherever the dryads buried themselves. After finishing his inspection, Elt continued the journey and neared the city of Zanzas. Along the way, the group admired the scenery stretching across the distant mountains. Elt reflected on how much Zanzas had changed since the days when it was only a small village. As the carriage approached Zanzas, Elt explained how the once small settlement had grown into a bustling city. Soon, one of his companions noticed a large statue standing beside the road near the city. The guide calmly revealed that reaching the statue meant they were almost at their destination. Shock spread across the carriage as the familiar figure on the monument became clear, to everyone's surprise, proving how greatly the surroundings of Zanzi's had changed. Seeing her own statue left Stella overwhelmed, and she struggled to accept what stood before her. A strong determination gradually replaced her confusion as she reflected on the sight. Without warning, Stella declared that she would devote herself fully to becoming an adventurer. Meanwhile, Elt could only watch the sudden change with bewilderment. Elsewhere, several adventurers continued relaxing in a mud bath, completely unaware of the dramatic moment. After observing the mud baths, Elt confirmed that plants grew exceptionally well around the dryads. Meanwhile, the dryads relaxed under the sunlight, while enjoying their usual routine. Several of them began copying the humans by pouring water over themselves. Confusion followed, as Elt noticed their strange behavior, and quickly stopped them. Misunderstanding was resolved when the dryads learned that human habits did not always suit their own bodies. Humans and dryads grew closer, and their unusual activities gradually strengthened their relationship. Later, Elt recorded the growing population and reflected on the dryads' successful integration into village life. While touring the town, she admired how the once empty area had grown into a remarkable place. Bustling streets stretched ahead, filled with merchants and travelers, seeking treasures from the labyrinth. Suddenly, a familiar statue caught her attention again, appearing throughout the city. Curiosity deepened as she quietly observed the surroundings, causing her companions to notice the change. Moments later, her mood brightened after spotting the Adventurers Guild near the entrance. The guide explained that the statue of Stella was the oldest in Zanzi's, reminding everyone of the city's history. Hearing this, she fell silent as the statue continued to occupy her thoughts. Meanwhile, excitement spread through the carriage as the group neared its destination. Soon after, several people gathered outside a building and waited expectantly. At the entrance, she met a visitor who had come to greet her, prompting a more serious exchange. Leia, the Adventurers Guild master, welcomed Stella after finally meeting her in person. Attention quickly shifted to Leia's unusual appearance, which surprised the group. A closer look revealed bright, sparkling eyes that made her seem more energetic than before. Seeing the change, the others assumed their previous efforts had produced positive results. Elsewhere, a companion looked toward Zanzi's and expected Stella's group to arrive soon. Worried about the others, Elt tried to clear his mind and decided to go fishing with Wood. Without hesitation, Wood agreed and eagerly prepared to join the outing. Outside the house, Elt informed a friend of his plan before heading out. Soon, another companion heard about the trip and asked to come along as well. Before long, the simple fishing excursion turned into a group activity as everyone volunteered to join. Beside the lakeshore, Elt's peaceful fishing trip attracted far more participants than he expected. Watching the crowd gather, he wondered why so many people had suddenly joined. Meanwhile, the others compared the outing to a fishing competition and grew increasingly interested. After hearing the idea, Elt explained a simple contest based on catching the largest fish. With the rules decided, the lines were cast into the water and the competition began. As time passed, Elt noticed that none of the fish seemed interested in the bait. Suddenly, Tetoka appeared and observed how seriously everyone was treating the activity. Since fishing was unfamiliar to her, she became curious and asked about it. Hearing her interest, Elt offered to prepare a fishing rod so she could participate. Using nearby materials, he quickly crafted one and completed it without delay. Receiving the handmade fishing rod, Tetoka happily treasured the gift and prepared to join the activity. After examining the bait, she revealed a special dried herb ball that seemed more useful. Curious about the idea, the group attached it to the line and cast it into the lake. Almost immediately, something powerful grabbed the bait and pulled hard. Caught off guard, Tetoka struggled to control the line until Elt stepped in to help. After the struggle ended, Tetoka thanked Elt and admitted she had not expected such a result. Once she explained the herb ball's ingredients, Elt became curious about how it was made. Nearby, she revealed that the herbs came from plants grown by her people. Interested in testing the bait further, Elt asked for another herb ball and received one. Moments later, fish rushed toward the lure, proving the herb balls were remarkably effective. Inspired by the herb bait's success, Elt quickly crafted a large basket for collecting fish. Soon afterward, the group developed a more efficient method for gathering their catch. Fish steadily filled the basket, and Elt confirmed that everything worked perfectly. Elsewhere, another adventurer struggled to catch anything and grew increasingly discouraged. Upon seeing Elt's overflowing haul, he was left stunned by the overwhelming difference in results. Among the catch, the group discovered several rare rainbow fish with valuable magical properties. After examining the lake, they realized the special herb bait had attracted fish that ordinary bait could not. As the discussion continued, Everyone praised Tetetoka's herb ball for its remarkable effectiveness. Attention soon turned to the rainbow fish scales, which naturally grew back after falling off. Holding one of the scales, Elt sensed magical energy and became interested in its potential uses. After inspecting the scale, Elt learned that its color determined its magical properties and possible uses. Hearing that orange scales improved plant growth, he immediately saw value for his territory's development. Since he lacked the means to raise the fish properly, Elt decided to release them for the time being. Before doing so, he offered some of the fish to Tetetoka out of curiosity. The moment food was mentioned, her attention shifted completely to the rainbow fish. Accepting Elt's offer, Tetetoka received a rainbow fish as payment for the herb bait. After taking a bite, she carefully considered the flavor, while Elt waited for her opinion. Rather than praising it outright, she suggested the fish would taste better with jam or other additions. With plans to return home soon, Elt postponed further testing and promised another opportunity later. Meanwhile, he began wondering whether rainbow fish were truly the only unusual creatures living in the lake. Before leaving, Elt decided to investigate the lake again in the future and search for other useful resources. As the day came to an end, the group reflected on their enjoyable fishing trip beside the water. While everyone relaxed, Elt suddenly noticed that Tetetoka's appearance seemed slightly different. To his surprise, she revealed that her flower had grown larger during the outing. Tetetoka happily explained that larger flowers earned greater respect among her people. Elt learned that larger flowers granted greater status and stronger ties to the earth. Realizing the recent growth might be connected to the rainbow fish scales, he questioned her about the change. Excitement quickly spread when Elt suggested finding a way to produce more scales in the future. Later that night, the group reflected on the day's success and the progress of negotiations. News arrived that many people wished to migrate, giving them another matter to review. During the discussion, a local legend about the territory's long unused land sparked curiosity among the group. Meanwhile, exhaustion finally caught up with Stella after the attention she received throughout the day. Recalling the overwhelming number of autograph requests, she reflected on how unprepared she had been. Seeing her condition, the others encouraged her to forget everything else and focus on resting. Soon afterward, the conversation faded as everyone began settling down for the night. Later that evening, one companion finished preparing a batch of potions, after finally reaching a stable place to work. Near the great tree tower, fruits ripened quickly, showing the land's growing vitality. Meanwhile, the villagers harvested tomatoes, lettuce, peppers, and cucumbers that thrived, despite the season. Observing the fields, the dryad and the plant experts examined the unusual growth with interest. Across the once empty farmland, rows of healthy crops spread widely, turning the area into a flourishing garden. However, as excessive harvesting could weaken the earth and reduce future yields. After learning the cause of the declining harvests, the cat villager decided to discuss proper crop limits with Elt soon after. A worker arrived to announce the opening of the mud bath service. Gathering nearby, the group welcomed the chance to relax while enjoying the benefits of the earth. During the discussion, plans were made for the next break and future visits. Excitement spread as the reservation was recorded, securing a place for the eager participant. Upon returning, the three reported that the partnership seed project had proceeded smoothly without major problems. Hearing the results, Elt learned that the seeds had been successfully planted and accepted by their partners. Furthermore, the group credited Stella's presence and careful support for helping the negotiations succeed. In response, Elt praised their efforts and expressed appreciation for Stella's hard work. As a reward for the successful mission, he prepared a special bonus to recognize her contribution. When the bonus was offered, Stella hesitated, feeling she had already received enough during the journey. Despite Elt's explanation, she remained reluctant to accept the additional reward, searching for a solution. He jokingly suggested building statues of her throughout the territory instead. Embarrassed by the idea, Stella quickly changed her mind and accepted the gift. With the matter settled, attention shifted toward reviewing the list of incoming migrants. A new group of migrants arrived, and Elt prepared to welcome the craftsmen joining the settlement. Upon entering the village, the newcomers were puzzled by the sight of dryads resting beneath the soil. Elt reviewed requests from specialists who wished to investigate the ancient lake and surrounding waters. Additional reports came from botanists and forest researchers, while another inquiry asked for the village's official name. He realized the growing settlement would soon need a proper public identity. While discussing possible names, Elt learned that many towns were named after local landmarks products. At the suggestion of using Stella's name, the idea immediately made both her and Elt uncomfortable. Rejecting that option, he turned his attention toward the village's most distinctive specialty. As he reflected on the settlement's identity, memories of its local produce came to mind. Before long, the first harvest stood as a symbol of the village's growth and future name. After considering the village's history and first harvest, Elt proposed the name Heelberry Village. The suggestion was warmly received, and the residents quickly agreed that it suited their home. Later, the village settled into its usual rhythm, while Elt enjoyed a brief rest after the discussions. Looking out across the settlement, he felt the new name would gradually spread beyond the region. Meanwhile, another peaceful day began in Heelberry Village, with a simple breakfast prepared from local produce. While reviewing recent developments, Elte noticed that Wood had become capable of handling increasingly complex tasks. With important plans ahead, he prepared for a busy day focused on the territory's growth. Outside, the villagers eagerly organized promotional signboards to strengthen ties with Zanzas. Meanwhile, Stella inspected newly produced lumber and was impressed by its remarkable quality. Elt examined the material himself and recognized the exceptional craftsmanship behind it. While preparing materials, Stella skillfully worked the lumber, impressing everyone with her craftsmanship across the village. Residents gathered to create signboards using wood and flowers for promotion. Meanwhile, Elt practiced making decorations by hand instead of relying entirely on magic. Soon, fresh flowers were delivered, providing colorful materials for the project. By the end of the session, the team had made steady progress and looked forward to finishing the billboards. The completed signboards were placed around the village, guiding travelers to local attractions. After reviewing the designs, Elt felt one of the advertisements still lacked an important detail. Soon he suggested adding an illustration of a dryad to make the sign more memorable. Pleased with the idea, the artist quickly revised the billboard and completed the design. Before long, Heelberry Village gained wider attention, and unusual stories about its customs began spreading among travelers. As more visitors arrived, Heelberry Village gradually gained a reputation for its mud baths and relaxing atmosphere. Elt noticed that traffic through the village had increased thanks to the new signboards. Amid the growing activity, a letter arrived from the Adventurer Guild requesting assistance. After reading the message, he learned that Stella was being asked to prepare special medicinal potions. Further details revealed that dangerous lightning spirits were involved, leaving Elt curious about the situation. The villagers explained that living lightning spheres roamed the area and posed a serious threat to travelers. According to the report, the creatures could strike through metal armor, making them difficult to handle. After hearing the details, Elt realized large quantities of paralysis. Curing potions would be required. The request specifically mentioned Stella, because she had previously ventured deep into the dangerous region. Embarrassed by the attention, Stella insisted her past success had mostly been a matter of luck. Elt became curious about the mysterious region filled with lightning spheres. Further investigation revealed that the creatures were connected to powerful lightning crystals hidden within the area. The group also learned that the location had blocked adventurers from conquering the second floor for generations. After considering the challenge, Elt asked Stella whether she wished to explore the dangerous zone again. Remembering her unfinished journey there, Stella decided she wanted to overcome the area once. After hearing Stella's decision, Elt agreed to accept the guild's request. Before the mission began, he set a condition that safety must come before success. With the preparations complete, Stella promised to return without taking unnecessary risks. Encouraged by his trust, she accepted the challenge, while Heelberry Village continued growing with its expanding population. Elt approached the Dryad and requested help cultivating heel mangoes needed for paralysis remedies. Without hesitation, the Dryad accepted the task and prepared to support the cultivation effort. Meanwhile, heel mangoes remained scarce across the world, making them highly valuable despite the heavy magic required. After considering his limits, Elt realized producing enough healing fruit would take considerable time. Before leaving, he offered rainbow fish scales, and the Dryad gladly accepted the additional gift. The Dryad accepted the fish scales and considered using them to improve heel mango production. Afterward, Elt asked for ideas regarding the dungeon's paralysis problem. Rather than blaming the treeman, the Dryad suggested lightning as the likely cause. Considering the situation, Elt believed he could investigate Xanias himself and hoped Stella would assist. Soon, Stella trained vigorously with a wooden weapon, preparing for the journey ahead. While Stella continued training, Elt encouraged her to proceed without worrying about him. Nearby, a treeman observed her powerful swings and compared them to a batter's technique. Soon, Stella explained how lightning balls attacked and where they usually aimed. Demonstrating the method, she practiced turning her body and striking at the right moment. Meanwhile, the treeman listened carefully and began learning the movements needed to defend themselves. After hearing Stella's explanation, Elt realized the lightning balls could be handled through batting practice. Soon, he planned to make balls, mitts, and other equipment to improve the training process. Later, Elt inspected the heel mango field and saw the fruit nearing harvest. Meanwhile, Lila volunteered to handle the difficult harvesting work and future potion preparation. Elsewhere, the Dryad carefully tended the orchard, ensuring the heel mango cultivation continued successfully. The Dryad worried about harvesting the heel mangoes, but Elt assured her he would seek help from adventurers. Confused by the idea, she misunderstood his explanation and compared adventurers to beings buried in the soil. Nearby, several buried Dryads appeared perfectly content, surprising the others. Lila observed their behavior and concluded they genuinely enjoyed it. Soon afterward, a messenger arrived with a letter from the Adventurers Guild. Elt received a letter from the Adventurers Guild and gladly welcomed the guildmaster's planned visit. The next day, he visited Stella and was surprised to see her dressed differently than usual. Proudly, Stella explained that Analtia had chosen the outfit for her. After complimenting her appearance, Elt remembered his promise to taste Stella's cooking. She presented a traditional elf dish called Ice Dragon's Fang for him to try. Stella served a dessert made from shaved ice, using clear water and magic tools she had brought from Knoll. After tasting it, Elt enjoyed the dish and asked why she wanted his opinion. Hesitantly, Stella explained that she hoped more elves could someday live in the territory. Hearing her wish, Elt agreed to welcome immigrants and continue expanding the village. Meanwhile, he kept eating the dessert and praised its excellent flavor, easing Stella's concerns. While resting, the Dryad reflected on how different the customs of other races were from her own. Meanwhile, Elt expected that more immigrants would eventually arrive from beyond Xenius. After leaving Stella's home, he noticed a lively gathering nearby and grew curious. Soon, Elt discovered several residents enjoying a meal together with great enthusiasm. Watching from a distance, he saw everyone praising the food and appreciating the unique flavors. While passing by, Elt noticed the Dryad and a resident acting unusually excited. Curious about the situation, he listened as the Dryad asked to share a secret. Leaning closer, she proudly revealed that they had obtained a large amount of fertile soil. For a moment, Elt struggled to understand why the discovery caused such excitement. The reason became clear when he saw enormous piles of soil gathered for future cultivation. Examining the soil, Elt learned it had been brought from another location because of its exceptional quality. Meanwhile, the Dryads explained that the rare fertilizer was as valuable to them as precious treasures. Although other options existed, the Dryad revealed that this special soil was the one she truly wanted. Elt asked for details and discovered it contained many valuable ingredients. After inspecting it more closely, he was amazed to hear the soil was worth even more than silver. Smelling the prized soil, Elt finally accepted that it was genuinely special to the Dryads. Meanwhile, the delighted Dryad hurried away, eager to bury herself in the newly acquired fertilizer. Stella arrived and noticed the unusual excitement surrounding the gathered soil. With a smile, she explained that the shipment had finally arrived after being specially prepared, according to a horticultural recipe. Hearing that, Elt suddenly realized even Analia had been eagerly waiting for the fertilizer's arrival. Although Elt viewed the fertilizer as a gardening resource, Stella reminded him that plenty remained for ordinary plants. Meanwhile, excited Dryads eagerly lined up for their chance to be buried in the precious soil. They shared the high-quality dirt without arguing and enjoyed the experience together. Before long, even the adventurers joined in and began trying the unusual mud bath later. The Dryads announced a barbecue celebration and invited Elt to take part in the festivities. When the invitation was offered, Elt gladly agreed to join the Dryads' celebration. Soon, everyone gathered around the barbecue and enjoyed freshly harvested vegetables from the territory. After tasting the food, the guests praised the flavorful sauce that perfectly complemented the grilled produce. Meanwhile, laughter and conversation filled the gathering as the celebration continued peacefully. Before long, attention turned toward fried fruit, and fresh ingredients were brought out for the next dish. Fresh fruit was placed on the grill, and everyone eagerly waited to taste the new dessert. After taking a bite, Elt watched as the others reacted with surprise and delight. Meanwhile, Analia and Knoll praised the fried fruit for its sweet flavor and pleasant texture. Pleased by their reactions, Elt promised to prepare even more for the gathering. As the celebration continued, the guests happily enjoyed the treats and shared a simple moment together. Evening approached, more residents joined the barbecue, and the celebration continued well into the night. Looking back on the gathering, Elt felt satisfied that he had grown closer to nearly everyone in the territory. Afterward, a reply was prepared and sent to the Adventurers Guild regarding the upcoming visit. Meanwhile, Elt learned that the guildmaster would likely arrive within the following week. Considering the occasion, he began planning the best way to welcome the important guest. A cat-like villager happily carried a bag filled with handmade balls during the morning. After meeting the young lord, He explained that the prototypes had already been completed ahead of schedule. Unable to resist the urge, the energetic villager admitted he wanted to throw the balls himself. Meanwhile, Stella practiced at the village center while the pair approached her. Stella revealed she had made the balls resemble lightning balls after recalling the recent barbecue. The young lord examined one of the lightning balls, while the cat-like villager watched with eager anticipation. Moments later, the villager grabbed a ball and launched it with great excitement across the field. Satisfied after several throws, he stepped back as another ball unexpectedly flew toward a nearby tree. Adventurers gathered and learned how to handle the lightning balls properly. Training continued throughout the day, helping the group prepare for future battles while supporting other village tasks. A week passed quickly, as the village continued its steady development and preparations. During that time, the Adventurers Guildmaster Leia arrived to visit the growing territory. After a formal introduction, Elt welcomed her and guided her through the village. Observing the surroundings, he noticed that Leia remained composed despite her long journey. Meanwhile, built through careful management and a remarkable safety record, Elt reflected on the guild's principles and appreciated its focus on safety and proper training. Soon he guided Leia to a massive tree structure created through plant magic. Examining the area, she learned that fertile soil greatly enhanced the effectiveness of such spells. Their discussion shifted to the progress of paralysis, healing potion production and future plans. Impressed by the results, Leia praised Elt's achievements and the village's rapid development. Continuing the tour, Elt warned Leia that the next location might appear unusual. Ahead of them lay several dryads buried in the ground, creating a strange sight across the field. Before entering, Elt explained that this was how the dryads rested and spent their time. Reaching the area, Leia observed the group quietly gathered beneath the open sky. Amusement soon replaced her surprise, as she noticed flowers blooming from the tops of their heads. Leia paused at the unusual scene and confirmed that the buried dryads were merely sleeping. As Elt explained their customs, she learned that resting beneath the soil held special meaning for their kind. Nearby, some dryads received water while continuing their peaceful routine underground. Gradually, Leia began to understand the practice, though its appearance remained startling. Their tour continued, as she connected the dryads' habits to the village's well-known mud baths. Leia arrived at a mud bath where several adventurers rested while buried beneath the warm mud. Observing them closely, she noticed healthier skin and better hair condition than she remembered. The guild master quickly identified the adventurers despite their unusual appearance. Intrigued by the treatment, she listened as Elt suggested trying the village specialty herself. Delight soon replaced hesitation when she gladly accepted the invitation to experience it firsthand. Leia enjoyed the mud bath so much that Elt considered her visit a complete success. Some time after returning home, she sent an aquarium as a gift to thank the village. Seeing the new arrival, Elt immediately began planning to raise fish. Soon, a large tank was prepared to support the project. Curiosity spread through the village as everyone examined the aquarium and discussed its value. The villagers examined the aquarium and learned that its value came from advanced craftsmanship rather than decoration. Further inspection revealed magical tools that kept the water clean and suitable for fish. Elt realized that fish farming knowledge was still limited in the region. Determined to make use of the gift, the group agreed to research and test different methods. Using supplies already available in the village, they began preparations for raising rainbow fish near the lake. Explained that successful fish farming could bring valuable resources and new opportunities to the village. Meanwhile, the cat-like villager acknowledged the risks but understood why the project was worth pursuing. After listening carefully, the dryad finally grasped the purpose behind their plans. Excitement soon spread as she eagerly joined the trip to the lake once more. With her appetite providing extra motivation, the group headed toward the water to begin their experiment. The villagers finished assembling the equipment and gathered beside the lake for the next step. Once everyone moved back, Elt prepared to demonstrate a new use of his plant magic. Moments later, a massive wooden arm rose from the ground under his control. Amazement spread through the group as they watched the enormous structure move. Using the giant wooden arm, Elt gained a practical tool for handling work around the lake. Following the plan, Elt decided to place the entire aquarium into the lake to begin the experiment. Before lowering it, he had a herb ball added inside to attract the fish. Using the giant wooden arm, the heavy aquarium was carefully lifted above the water. Steadily, the structure was lowered into the lake, while the villagers watched the process. Within moments, fish gathered around the aquarium, drawn by the food placed inside. The group watched the lake closely, but Elt decided to wait until fewer fish crowded around the aquarium. While they waited, the cat-like villager praised the usefulness of Elt's plant magic once again. In response, Elt reflected on its limitations, despite its effectiveness for tasks like this. As the rainbow fish settled down, he searched through his belongings to pass the time. Suddenly, the villager noticed something familiar, and Elt remembered the forgotten herb ball. Remembering the herb ball, the cat, like villager, eagerly threw it into the water to attract more fish. Half an hour later, the dryad admired the results as the fish gathered around the aquarium. Among the rainbow fish, one golden specimen caught everyone's attention with its unusual appearance. After discussing it, the group concluded that the fish had become a rare, unique variant. Soon afterward, Elt examined a golden scale that had fallen from the remarkable fish. The dryad stared eagerly at Elt, hoping to receive part of the rare golden fish. Unable to resist her enthusiasm, Elt allowed her to have a small portion. After tasting it, she immediately noticed a richer flavor and enjoyed it far more. Listening to her impressions, the group considered whether the fish's stronger magic had affected its taste. With no issues expected from the aquarium environment, they decided to bring the unique fish home, explained that they would begin by raising only a small number in the aquarium. The conversation then shifted to Elt's background, prompting him to mention his family's reputation for careful planning. Recalling that reputation, he reflected on how others often associated his actions with the same traits. Soon afterward, Elt asked the villagers to help transport the aquarium back to the settlement. As everyone prepared to leave, he promised a reward once the work was finished. Cheering together, the villagers carried the aquarium back home. Stella and Wood departed for Zanzas with the completed paralysis cure potions. While they were away, Elt inspected the fish tanks and found everything running smoothly. The fish continued eating their feed, and their scales dropped regularly without any issues. However, they refused normal fish food and only consumed the herb balls produced by the dryads. Realizing the growing fish would need much more feed, Elt began considering a way to mass-produce the herb balls. After learning that Rena could produce large quantities of herb balls, without wasting time, he asked for another fish tank and began planning to expand the breeding operation. To test the idea, Elt handed over a herb ball and watched the reaction closely. Rather than rejecting it, Rena sampled the food herself and even offered some. In return, a pleased expression spread across her face, confirming that the herb balls were both edible and effective. Rena encouraged Elt to taste the herb ball, leaving him unable to decline the offer. Curiosity replaced his hesitation as he took a bite and carefully considered the flavor. To his surprise, the herb ball tasted pleasant, with a mild spiciness that was easy to enjoy. Satisfied with the result, Elt expressed his approval while continuing to eat the snack. He reminded himself to verify every assumption before reaching conclusions in this world. As Elt reflected on recent events, strange information suddenly appeared in his mind without warning. The unexpected knowledge revealed a new ability called the power of the dryads. Recalling the scale he had eaten earlier, Elt began connecting it to the source of the skill. Careful consideration led him to realize that skills and magic followed entirely different rules. Remembering his past game knowledge, Elt understood he had obtained an ability that should have been impossible to acquire. Rather than chasing new magic, Elt became interested in the rare skill he had unexpectedly obtained. He reviewed his memories and concluded that the ability should enhance farming-related activities. With that theory in mind, Elt buried himself in the soil and waited for a reaction. Nearby, the dryads tested several ideas, including planting a seedling and watering the area. No obvious change appeared, and Elt could only admit that the experiment was not going well. While thinking about the dryads' habits, Elt realized their daily activities might reveal the true purpose of the skill, leading him to focus on the process of making herb balls rather than consuming them. Following the dryads' guidance, Elt carefully kneaded the ingredients and observed each step of the work continued. He learned that herb balls could be eaten by their creators when necessary suddenly, signaling that the experiment had finally produced a result. As Elt continued kneading the herb ball, he sensed a strange force flowing from his body into the mixture. The dryad quickly noticed the change and realized he had already discovered the proper method. Further explanation revealed that a completed herb ball required a special touch normally performed by mature dryads. Elt understood that the power of the dryads enhanced the production process itself. He gladly used the ability to create more feed for the rainbow fish. After producing a sufficient batch of herb balls, prepared to test the results on the fish. News of his newly acquired skill surprised the others, who knew such abilities were extremely rare. Even Noel confirmed that obtaining a skill was considered nearly impossible for most people. Elt became convinced that the herb balls were connected to the power of the dryads. He dropped the feed into the tank and waited to see how the fish would respond. The fish immediately accepted the new herb balls, confirming that ET's plan had worked. Excitement spread through the group as the successful feeding test exceeded their expectations. Explained that the rare skill had likely come from the fish scale he had eaten. Wanting to verify his theory, he offered scales to the others and encouraged them to try the same method. The pair became interested after learning that the scales might grant a valuable skill. After receiving their promises of secrecy, Elt agreed to let the others try the fish scales. Both eagerly accepted, hoping to obtain the same rare skill for themselves. The possibility excited Elt, since it could solve the territory's feed shortage. Soon, the three worked side by side, carefully kneading herb balls together. Once the task ended, they checked for changes, but no new skill appeared. With herb ball production secured, Elt planned to expand rainbow fish farming and help more people obtain useful skills. He expected the fish scales to improve future harvests and create new opportunities for the territory. Every step of the project was aimed at strengthening and developing his domain. Meanwhile, Stella and Wood arrived in the city of Zanzas. Upon entering, they noticed unusually large crowds and began wondering what event had drawn so many people together. While exploring Zanzas, Stella noticed a public announcement attracting attention from crowds across the city. She learned that many adventurers had gathered for a major challenge. Wood suggested staying close together so they would not get separated by the growing crowd. The group soon discovered that the event was connected to the world's most dangerous dungeon. Excitement spread quickly as people discussed the challenge, and the city became even more lively. The group entered the first dungeon floor, a vast area known as the Meadow of Deathbirds. Guided by experienced adventurers, they advanced carefully along a safe route. Suddenly, a strange bird monster appeared, drawing everyone's attention with its unexpected appearance. Two fluffy, rank monsters bounced around the field and collided playfully, drawing attention from the nearby adventurers. While the group admired their appearance, it became clear the creatures eagerly approached anything that moved. Calmly, the elf explained that they stayed harmless, unless someone acted aggressively toward them. Remembering past reactions, she considered how others often misunderstood the monster's behavior. After watching them more closely, she decided there was no need for concern. The elf remained fascinated by the fluffy cockatrices, while the adventurers struggled to understand her excitement. Later, the group stopped beside a river to rest, and the monsters happily played in the clear water. Concern spread among the adventurers, who found it difficult to stay calm around so many A-rank creatures. Even more cockatrices gathered, making the peaceful scenery feel overwhelming. She continued insisting the monsters posed no threat, and saw no reason for alarm. A young cockatrice suddenly approached the group, causing the adventurers to panic. Before anyone could react, the elf hurried forward and stopped them from making a reckless move. Stepping between both sides, she explained that provoking the creature would attract more cockatrices to the area. Although the adventurers remained uneasy, she calmly took responsibility for handling the situation herself. Curious Chick focused on the item in her hand, and peacefully lost interest in the group. The elf offered food to the young cockatrice, and reassured it that the group would leave peacefully. Soon, the chick happily accepted her affection, allowing the adventurers to observe without trouble. After resolving the situation, the party returned to exploring the mysterious area beyond the mountains. Meanwhile, their plant companion promised to assist as they advanced deeper into the region. With preparations complete, the elf confidently led everyone toward the next stage of their journey. The party entered the second floor of the Mountains of Infinity, where dangerous warp balls floated across the rocky valley. Carefully, everyone ran through the area while avoiding the moving obstacles blocking their path. As the challenge continued, but steady encouragement helped them keep advancing. Eventually, they reached the destination, and the elf admired the strange sounds echoing around them. Beyond the passage, a crystal-filled land appeared, revealing the habitat of the lightning spirits. While exploring the crystal habitat, the elf noticed a lightning spirit, and became curious about its unusual power. Without hesitation, she grabbed a bat and prepared to challenge the floating creature. After carefully tracking its movement, she focused on the exact moment it entered range. A powerful swing connected with the spirit, sending it flying across the crystal field. Once the attempt succeeded, the group cheered while she quietly recovered from the effort. After finding another lightning spirit, the elf decided to continue the experiment while her companions provided support. Remembering her earlier training, she carefully prepared her stance and aimed for the moving target. Several clean hits followed as she successfully struck the spirit again and again. Unexpectedly, the final swing sent the creature flying farther than she intended. Seeing the opportunity, the mage finished the task with a precise spell before the spirit could escape. The elf thanked her companions for their help and acknowledged their skill in handling the fast-moving spirits. Meanwhile, the plant companion demonstrated impressive strength, earning further praise from the group. Afterward, The party continued deeper through the crystal-filled cave in search of more lightning spirits. Surprisingly, none appeared along the way, leaving everyone confused about the sudden silence. Considering the situation, the adventurers suspected they had already cleared most of the spirits from the area. Following the trail deeper into the cave, the party searched for the source that attracted the lightning spirits. While inspecting the crystal formations, the mage suddenly noticed a strange movement among the glowing structures. Moments later, a giant golem made of lightning crystals revealed itself before the group. After sensing its overwhelming magical power, the adventurers realized their usual attacks would be ineffective. They discussed retreating, but the elf believed the enemy could still be defeated. The party analyzed the crystal golem and realized its physical strength was lower than its magical power suggested. Confident in her throwing skills, the elf began considering a plan to exploit that weakness. Meanwhile, far away in Heelberry Village, a cat-like child happily carried a collection of balls. Soon, the child excitedly asked Elt to join a game and gathered everyone's attention. Before long, several children rushed over, eager to play together with Elt back in Heelberry Village. Elt agreed to help the children play a game involving throwing and fetching balls. Excited cheers filled the area as the children eagerly chased after every ball he tossed. Watching from nearby, the elf recalled how seriously Stella had practiced throwing objects. At the time, Elt doubted that training would ever have a practical purpose. Later, that same skill proved decisive when Stella shattered the crystal golem with thrown rocks and crystals. Proudly, the elf explained that her throwing skill came from practicing with Elt, then prepared to collect the rewards. Near the deepest area, she discovered a mysterious rainbow-colored stone among the remaining crystals. After examining the surroundings, the party concluded that only the golem excitement spread through the group as they realized they had become the first people to clear the unexplored layer. Suddenly, a familiar cockatrice appeared from the bushes, startling everyone on the spot. Cockatrice approached the group again, and the elf decided to reward its curiosity with another herb ball. One by one, she handed out treats, and the excited cockatrices happily gathered around her. Before long, the fluffy creatures surrounded the elf, leaving her completely delighted by their affection. As the bond deepened, she unexpectedly gained a new skill related to taming cockatrices. She showed the mysterious stone from the unexplored area and began discussing its origin with Elt. The elf showed the mysterious stone to Elt, but neither understood its true value. After thinking carefully, Elt connected recent discoveries to knowledge from his previous life. Finally, he identified the treasure as a cockatrice queen's egg with enormous potential. Elt asked about the cockatrice queen and learned that it led the flock with greater intelligence than the others. After hearing that the queen was much larger and rarely left its nest, curiosity then shifted toward a mysterious egg, and he wondered whether it could be hatched. Excitement took over as the elf eagerly pushed for an attempt despite having only theoretical knowledge. Meanwhile, deciding to postpone the plan while considering the risks involved, Elt explained that hatching the egg required a rare cockatrice tamer skill, making the task difficult. To his surprise, the elf suddenly obtained that very skill and celebrated the unexpected reward. Disbelief crossed Elt's face as he learned how easily the skill had been acquired. According to her explanation, gaining it normally required feeding tameable monsters countless times. Only then did the elf realize that Elt had already fed the cockatrices thousands of times without noticing its significance. Elt visited Analia's house to seek help with hatching the cockatrice queen's egg. Analia and her companion readily agreed to assist in any way they could. A question soon arose when Elt pointed out that neither of them had experience raising monsters. Instead of denying it, Analia admitted it was her first time with a cockatrice queen. Her enthusiasm became clear, as she proudly showed her collection and explained how beloved cockatrices were in her homeland, including gathering materials and producing items from cockatrice feathers. He then explained that proper care after the hatch would be just as important as the hatching itself. According to Stella's advice, large amounts of vegetables and herb balls would be needed for the young monster. The plan delighted Stella, who eagerly imagined teaching adventurers how to make the special food. Elt expressed his gratitude and prepared a small gift in return for the assistance. He offered Stella a drink, and she thoroughly enjoyed the refreshing taste. Soon afterward, Stella proposed creating a comfortable shelter where the cockatrice could stay protected from harsh weather. The group inspected a suitable area and discussed the creature's habits. Using plant magic, Elt immediately began shaping a massive structure from a living tree, within moments revealing a spacious treehouse prepared for the future cockatrice queen. Completed treehouse impressed everyone, and Elt's plant magic once again earned admiration from the group. After checking the interior, he confirmed that the spacious structure would be suitable for the cockatrice queen. The others volunteered to help furnish the building, while Elt thanked them for their continued support. A new request emerged concerning an unused area nearby, rather than expanding the current square. Elt learned that the land was intended for a separate training. The discussion shifted to baseball, and Elt explained that the new square would be used for practice and future matches. Adventurer became excited and immediately wanted to teach it to newcomers. Still, Elt decided to keep the rules simple so the game would remain easy and enjoyable. Rather than rushing, he encouraged everyone to think long-term and let interest grow naturally. Several days later, preparations continued, as information about raising cockatrices was carefully gathered. A letter from Leia arrived through the Adventurers Guild, prompting Elt and the others to review its contents. The message expressed gratitude for the successful expedition and reported the region's growing recovery. Along with the letter came a special mantle and several keepsakes sent as gifts. As Elt searched through the package, he learned that Leia was already planning a marketplace for future trade. Excitement quickly spread when the contents were revealed, uncovering a collection filled with charming. The package included a mantle, featuring Stella's likeness, leaving Elt puzzled by the unexpected design. Everyone learned that Stella had become a popular symbol used in promotional materials and artwork. Excitement immediately spread, and both Stella and Analia wanted matching items for themselves. Seeing no issue with the idea, Elt gave his approval and allowed Stella to keep the mantle. He quietly worried that the growing attention might encourage Stella's enthusiasm a little too much. As Stella admired her new outfit, Elt wondered what kind of request she might make next. 2 days later, and Stella happily appeared wearing a pajama made from cockatrice feathers. With everything ready, Elt began the hatching process by applying the special potion to the egg. A large amount of magic power was then poured into the shell to support its development, finally providing warmth as the designated cockatrice tamer. Following Elt's instructions, Stella carefully held the egg and settled into the nest to keep it warm. As night fell, she remained beside the egg, protecting it with great care. During the quiet wait, Stella drifted into sleep while gently cradling the future hatchling. A personal dream surfaced, revealing her long-standing wish to raise a cockatrice as a companion. Listening nearby, Elt finally understood that her enthusiasm came from a genuine dream she had carried for years. Seeing Stella's dedication, Elt reassured her that the dream she cherished was close to becoming reality. Grateful for everything that had happened, Stella expressed her happiness while continuing to hold the egg carefully. Without warning, a crack suddenly appeared across the shell, startling her. Excitement filled the room as the first signs of hatching became unmistakable. They watched in silence, their attention fixed on the egg as the shell slowly broke apart. The egg finally hatched, revealing a tiny cockatrice that immediately recognized Elt and Stella as its parents. While Stella reacted with surprise, the newborn happily approached her and enjoyed the warmth she provided. Moments later, the chick eagerly sought attention from Elt and asked to be petted. Elt gently stroked the little creature, and it quickly relaxed under his touch. Stella reached forward as the newborn turned its attention toward her as well. The newborn cockatrice enjoyed the attention, happily relaxing as Elt and Stella gently petted it together. Both remained by its side, watching the small creature settle comfortably into its new home. Later that night, Stella quietly asked Elt to stay nearby for the chick's sake. After hearing the request, he agreed, believing the young cockatrice would feel safer with both parents present. The day ended peacefully as they rested beside the hatchling and left future plans for tomorrow. Elt, Stella, and the newborn cockatrice slept peacefully together. A boy woke to a peaceful morning and greeted the day as birds sang outside. Nearby, Stella emerged from her nest, like bed, and noticed him watching. Leaving her startled, embarrassment quickly took over as she tried to fix her messy hair. After his apology, Stella explained that her hair was always untidy after sleeping. Meanwhile, Peep opened its eyes, called for its parents, and cheerfully welcomed the new morning. Peep woke up hungry, while the boy and Stella gathered around to start the morning together. Remembering advice from the adventurers, he prepared a meal made from petrified tree leaves favored by cockatrices. With no rivals nearby, Peep eagerly enjoyed the food and finished eating without hesitation. Later, attention shifted to the newly hatched chick, and the pair began considering a suitable name. To find the best choice, they reviewed a list of names and searched for one worthy of a future queen. After reviewing the list, the boy settled on a name while Stella eagerly awaited the decision. Drawing from ancient Elvish language, he chose Dia, a name associated with the sun. Excitement spread through the room as Stella agreed that the name suited the young cockatrice perfectly. Soon afterward, Dia began recognizing the name and reacted happily to it. Moments later, a faint glow appeared around Dia, showing that the little chick had warmly accepted her new identity. Dia happily continued eating and showed clear excitement after receiving her new name. While looking around the nest, she noticed movement outside and sensed someone nearby. Concern crossed the boy's face, but Stella explained that curious villagers often came to see newborn cockatrices. Rather than staying hidden, Dia became eager to meet the visitors and rushed toward them, beyond the shelter. Figures could already be seen approaching, drawn by news of the newly hatched chick. Reaching the visitors, Dia suddenly declared that the people before her were dead. Confused by the statement, the boy and Stella tried to understand what she was seeing. After examining the situation, he realized the villagers were under a curse and had buried themselves in mud to ease its effects. Although Dia remained puzzled, he decided to postpone a full explanation until she grew older. Soon, Stella demonstrated the villagers' unusual habit of sunbathing in flower beds. Patiently, the boy explained that the flower-like villagers were alive and simply enjoyed soaking up sunlight. Reassured by the explanation, Dia promised to ask questions whenever something seemed strange. Not long after, a cat-like visitor arrived and greeted the group with cheerful energy. Surprise spread across the gathering when the newcomer realized the tiny cockatrice could speak. Visitor praised both Dia and her caretakers, while admiring the unusual little chick. Dia asked the cat visitor whether he also enjoyed sunbathing among the flowers. Cheerfully, the cat agreed and even looked forward to sharing the experience with Dia when she grew older. As the conversation continued, fatigue slowly caught up with Dia and her eyes began to close. Nestled in Stella's arms, the sleepy chick asked for gentle affection before drifting off, noticing her exhaustion. The boy decided it was time to carry Dia home. Stella expressed her wish to remain by the young chick's side until she grew up. Meanwhile, the boy realized Dia would probably prefer waking up to Stella's presence, rather than his own. He brought up a proposal and carefully asked Stella to hear him out. Awkwardness briefly filled the air as both struggled to respond and encouraged the other to speak first. Eventually, he suggested living together for Dia's sake, and Stella quietly accepted the arrangement. Informed everyone that Stella would be staying with Dia until the young cockatrice grew up. Stella returned with a special pillow she always carried when staying away from home. The next morning, Dia woke up full of energy and eagerly greeted the household. Soon, she met a walking tree and became fascinated by the unusual member of the family. After hearing Dia's curiosity, the boy gently reminded her not to judge others by their appearance alone. She began seeing the walking tree as an older brother and part of her family. Encouraged by the idea, the tree accepted the role, making Dia his little sister in return. Meanwhile, the boy reflected on the unusual family bond and found the arrangement surprisingly natural. Later, Stella noticed that Dia's ability to sense magic had improved considerably. They discussed teaching Dia about magic, after discovering her remarkable talent for detecting magical energy. Recognizing Dia's intelligence, the boy decided to wait before teaching her magic. Soon afterward, Dia happily asked for affection from both caretakers and enjoyed every moment of their attention. The family gathered around the sleeping chick and wished for her healthy growth. Conversation then turned to dinner, and the boy offered to prepare a meal for everyone. With the plan decided, the household headed to the kitchen and began making dinner together. While preparing dinner, the boy worked in the kitchen as Stella and the tree quietly watched. Surprised by the sight, Stella learned that he preferred cooking for himself, despite having others who could help. Wanting to contribute, believing her cooking would better suit local tastes. However, the boy felt she was already doing enough and did not want to burden her with more household work. Instead, explaining that his skills would fade without regular practice. After dinner, the boy asked Stella to spend time with Dia while he finished preparing a few things. Meanwhile, he reflected on Stella's cooking skills and admitted that her experience far exceeded his own. More than anything, he wanted everyone to stay close to Dia. Later, he carefully explained a new sleeping arrangement to keep the household comfortable and safe, listening to the plan, helping the boy better understand their family's habits. Stella accepted the plan, though the situation still felt slightly awkward. That night, the boy carefully marked a boundary on the bed while everyone settled into their places. The following morning, Dia enjoyed a refreshing bath and happily splashed around in the water. Once the washing was finished, Stella helped clean every feather while the boy watched nearby. Leaping out proudly, Dia admired her spotless appearance and thanked her caretakers for helping her feel fresh. After breakfast, the boy wrote a letter seeking information about Dia's origins and other cockatrice queens. Since no one nearby knew much about the species, he requested advice from the Adventurers Guild and experts in Zanzas. Elsewhere, village leaders reviewed reports and discussed the region's growing production and trade. Concerns arose because herb cultivation and local resources had reached their limits. A new proposal emerged to expand cultivation by making better use of the surrounding forest. Group learned that a large herb-rich area existed deep within the forest. Without hesitation, the boy proposed forming a reconnaissance team to investigate the region. He revealed plans to build great tree houses and expand settlement opportunities inside the forest. At the same time, everyone agreed that development must be handled carefully to avoid damaging the ecosystem. The team moved forward with the expedition while the boy returned to check on the sleeping Daya. During the meeting, the boy noticed two visitors quietly staring at him and wondered what had happened. Meanwhile, they could not stop admiring Dia and became captivated by her adorable appearance. Later, the group compared notes and discovered that Dia had already grown slightly larger overnight. Reflecting on the changes around him, the boy realized he had gradually taken on the role of Dia's father. Lita sat quietly, troubled after hearing about Heal, Berry Village and its connection to someone important. Meanwhile, Jessica revealed her wish to visit the village, believing Stella, Sama, might be the adventurer she had long admired. Excitement filled Jessica as she explained Stella, Sama's remarkable reputation and sought Leah's opinion. After considering her request, Leah assured her that the villagers would gladly welcome her. Relief appeared on Jessica's face as she thanked Leah. Curiosity arose when Jessica noticed the unusual hat Leah had been wearing all this time. A pleased expression appeared as Leah admitted she had been waiting for someone to ask about it. Rather than treating it as decoration, she explained that the hat was a souvenir and part of her personal testing. Amusement spread through the room while Letta described its practical value. Finally, Jessica examined the hat more closely, as Letta demonstrated one of its hidden features. Letta pulled the string on her hat, causing it to react unexpectedly. Surprise followed as Jessica realized the hat responded like a simple magical tool. With a practical goal in mind, Lee suggested using the hat to attract attention to Heal, Berry Village. After watching the hat repeatedly react, Jessica quickly grew fond of its charm. Before parting ways, Leah offered encouragement and wished Jessica success on her journey as an adventurer. Outside Heal, Berry Village, a hunter delivered a freshly gathered item for appraisal. Inside, the staff sorted through the growing collection and prepared to examine the findings. Careful inspection revealed the root came from a full-war archer. Further discussion suggested the creature population had increased beyond normal levels. Signs on nearby trees supported the theory, leading them to suspect conflicts among the monsters in the forest. Deep within the forest, thoughts turned to the mysteries hidden among the trees. Back at home, Dia proudly showed how much she had grown after being cared for so well. Praise from the family filled her with joy as she celebrated her progress. Soon afterward, Dia expressed a desire to explore beyond the house for the first time. Hearing the request, the adults considered the idea and discussed whether she was ready for the journey. Recently, Dia had become energetic and spent her days exploring every corner of the house. To satisfy her curiosity, the family decided to take a leisurely walk around the village together. Sunlight and new scenery filled Dia with excitement as she eagerly led the way. During the stroll, attention shifted to a newly tailored outfit prepared with special care. Its design included a small seat for Dia, allowing her to travel comfortably while staying close to the family. During the village walk, Dia noticed a gathering and became curious about the activity. Nearby, villagers were preparing herbs and working together on an important task. One worker carefully adjusted the herbs while checking their quality and texture. After testing the softness, the group confirmed the preparation was progressing as expected. As the work continued, Dia happily sampled different flavors, turning the herb processing day into an enjoyable experience. While exploring the village, Dia became distracted by a passing carriage and watched it with fascination. Its luxurious appearance suggested that important visitors had arrived from a distant city. Curiosity quickly grew as Dia tried to understand the purpose of the unfamiliar vehicle. The group decided to welcome the newcomers and approached the carriage together. Moments later, Stella appeared before them, and Dia immediately recognized the adventurer she had been hoping to meet. Excitement overflowed as Dia suddenly attempted to introduce herself to the newly arrived guests. Jessica froze in disbelief when the small creature appeared to speak. The misunderstanding was quickly cleared up after Dia's true identity was explained. Meanwhile, Stella gently reminded Jessica to remain calm in front of the village lord. Realization struck at once, prompting Jessica to apologize for her overly surprised reaction. Composing herself, Jessica formally introduced herself and apologized for her earlier behavior. After receiving a warm welcome, she learned that her reputation had already reached the village. Attention soon shifted to the reason for her visit, as Elt questioned why a renowned adventurer had traveled so far. In response, Jessica presented a letter entrusted to her by the Adventurers Guild. Moments later, the contents of the message became the center of everyone's attention. The letter confirmed that no previous records existed regarding a cockatrice queen born from the unusual stone. Further instructions requested cooperation between Berry Village and the Adventurers Guild in raising the creature. Another section revealed that the hat Jessica wore was a newly developed item, awaiting evaluation. After reading everything, Elt gained a clearer understanding of Jessica's abilities and experience. Meanwhile, encouraged the village to learn from her knowledge for as long as possible. After reading the letter, Elt decided to give Jessica an advisory role within the village. Soon afterward, he explained that Leia would occasionally seek Jessica's help on various matters. Meanwhile, Dia noticed the strange string hanging from Jessica's hat and became curious. Rather than ignoring the question, Jessica proudly demonstrated the hat's unusual feature. The moment the string was pulled, the hat reacted instantly, leaving the onlookers visibly surprised. Laughter spread through the group as Jessica repeatedly demonstrated the hat's strange reaction, pleased by their amusement. She felt the effort of wearing the unusual item had paid off. Wanting to explain further, Jessica removed the hat to show how it worked. Instant panic followed when Dia believed the hat had suddenly died. Concern quickly turned into relief as everyone rushed to put the hat back on and calm the distressed little creature. Relief washed over Dia after learning that the hat had not died and was still functioning normally. A cheerful smile quickly returned as the misunderstanding was cleared up. Embarrassment followed when Jessica realized how seriously Dia had taken the situation. Concern lingered for a moment until Elt suggested a simple way to check the hat again. Once the string was pulled, and the hat reacted as expected. Dia happily confirmed that everything was fine. Later, Jessica settled into the village as a valued resident. While exploring the village, Analia arrived at Jessica's home carrying a small gift. Inside, she offered freshly harvested fruit as a welcoming present. Noticing Jessica occupied with tea preparation, Analia paused and observed the situation. After introducing herself as an adventurer, she accepted an invitation to enter and rest. During their visit, Analia praised the village's clean surroundings, abundant water, and steady prosperity. As the discussion continued, Analia learned more about the Nyafu and Dryads, whose unusual behavior left a strong impression on her. Moments later, she noticed an empty teapot and wondered how water would be prepared. Without hesitation, Jessica stepped forward and took charge of the task. Raising a special staff, she used her ability to draw water directly into the container. Soon, leaving Analia quietly amazed by another surprising sight in the village. Analia focused on the pleasant aroma rising from the freshly prepared tea. Taking a careful sip, she was surprised by the rich flavor and nearly froze in disbelief. Soon, she examined the drink more closely and found its temperature perfectly. Jessica explained that the water came from a treasured family staff, which naturally improved its taste. Before the discussion could continue, a sudden cry from the small creature on the staff drew everyone's attention. The small creature suddenly announced a lucky color, prompting Analia to wonder about its strange behavior. As the creature continued making predictions, Jessica revealed that its fortunes were often surprisingly accurate. Analia introduced herself and mentioned her position within the Alchemist Guild. The conversation shifted to the unusual water, leading Jessica to explain one of the staff's hidden functions. Hearing that the staff could produce many kinds of water, Analia stared in astonishment at the remarkable artifact. Jessica explained that years of experimentation had revealed the best water source for brewing black tea. Interested by the discovery, Analia eagerly offered her help and hoped to learn more about the process. Filled with excitement, she quickly made plans to continue working with Jessica in the future. Later, the visit shifted toward a nearby pond where several fish were being raised. Looking down into the water, Analia watched the colorful fish swim around. After observing the thriving fish population, Analia learned that many previous attempts had failed before this success was achieved. She began to understand how important Jessica's arrival had been for the island's development. The discussion soon turned toward expanding local agriculture and livestock production through new methods. Recognizing the opportunity, Analia gladly agreed to cooperate and share her knowledge for future improvements. Even so, leaving both sides to wait before their partnership could formally begin, Analia was unexpectedly called over to look at something unusual in the water. The moment she recognized the rare golden rainbow fish, shock spread across her face. Without warning, the fish leaped from the pond and landed outside the water. Panic followed as the small creature rushed around after accidentally worsening the situation. Fortunately, quick action saved the fish, and relief returned once it was safely back in the water and alive. After the commotion settled, Analia learned that the golden rainbow fish were all female. She stressed the importance of properly preparing the tanks and environment first. With their plans aligned, both sides agreed to cooperate and looked forward to working together. Later, the conversation moved to the Great Tree Tower, where several dryads were gathered around a table. Dryads kneaded dough while casually eating it, adding another unusual sight to the village's growing list of mysteries. As Elt arrived at the tower, one of the dryads happily rushed over to greet him. Nearby, the dryads continued shaping dough while enthusiastically showing their work to the others. Curious about the activity, Elt asked whether Dia wanted to try making some as well. At once, the energetic little creature encouraged everyone to join the baking effort. Elt learned that Dia had a unique way of kneading dough, making the unusual scene even more entertaining. He pointed out that Peep should help with the kneading instead of simply watching. Suddenly, a powerful force burst through the room, leaving everyone confused by the unexpected disturbance. Moments later, a mysterious woman appeared and immediately commanded respect from those present. Recognizing the name she carried, Elt recalled an ancient figure connected to the downfall of a powerful demon lord, meanwhile, making him realize that the newcomer possessed strength far beyond ordinary standards. Mysterious woman immediately asked Dazo for instructions, treating Peep as her master. Instead of giving orders, Peep invited her to help knead the dough, alongside everyone else. Confused by the request, she struggled to understand what kind of task she had been assigned. Patiently, the group explained the process and guided her through the basics, step by step. Soon, the discussion expanded into new ideas for shaping herb balls, turning the strange encounter into a productive lesson. Under Peep's supervision, the mysterious woman awkwardly began kneading dough. Despite her immense power, controlling her strength proved difficult, forcing the dryads to teach her proper technique. Before long, exhaustion caught up with her, and she requested a short break from the unfamiliar work. As introductions continued, she learned more about Eelt and his connection to the village. A sudden realization followed, leaving her staring at Eelt with newfound respect. After understanding his true position, still confused by the village's unusual customs, the mysterious woman questioned the relationship between Peep and Elt in response. Peep firmly repeated that Elt should be regarded as a father figure. Although she accepted the explanation, the answer only deepened her confusion. Seeking clarity, she asked Elt about her own identity and status among demons. To everyone's surprise, she admitted that most of her memories were gone, leaving her unable to recall anything beyond her name. Elt concluded that Marchosia's had likely been restored to a weakened state with her abilities reset. Meanwhile, Peep's successful summoning seemed to support the theory that her former power had greatly diminished. Although uncertain, Marchosia's listened carefully as Elt shared his thoughts about her condition. The discussion quickly shifted toward recovering her strength, prompting her to eagerly seek guidance. Rather than focusing on power, she became more concerned with how to properly address Elt after. Discussing her condition, Marchosia's learned that her strength was tied to the power of her summoner. Nearby, Peep proudly accepted the role of her master, while considering the situation. Despite remaining in the human world, Marchosia's seemed unconcerned and adapted surprisingly well to village life. As Elt reflected on the accidental summoning, he began considering what should be done next. Before a decision could be reached, another visitor arrived after hearing there was important business to discuss. A newly arrived visitor carefully observed Marchosia's and seemed shocked by what she discovered. Recognition struck suddenly, leaving the visitor overwhelmed during the unexpected meeting. However, the reunion took an awkward turn when Marchosia's failed to recognize the person before her. A small creature suddenly reacted, drawing attention to an unexpected presence. Confusion spread as the creature identified the newcomer, leaving everyone unsure how to respond. Meanwhile, Elt quietly listened, while a comparison to someone from the past was mentioned. After hearing the details, he reflected on an old story whose outcome had never matched expectations. Ultimately, the connection became clear as the woman was revealed to be linked to the former demon lord. Elt listened carefully, as the story revealed how the demon lord had once been challenged and freed from control. Soon, a surprising possibility emerged when overlapping timelines suggested an encounter with the demon lord together. Meanwhile, exhaustion overtook the group as they focused on preparing food and gathering their thoughts. Afterward, the elf woman stepped forward and offered her assistance with the situation. In the end, Elt accepted responsibility, deciding he could not leave her without support. With her memories gone, Marchosia's chose to stay, becoming the village's newest resident. As the population grew by one, Elt quietly accepted the role of watching over her. Later, the group observed a rapid reaction during an experiment and waited for the results. While examining the outcome, they compared the changes and discussed the effectiveness of the solution. Before long, another visitor arrived, bringing fresh energy and drawing everyone's attention. Jessica paused and carefully sniffed the air, sensing something unusual nearby. Moments later, she identified the source and became excited after discovering high-quality water. Hearing the explanation, she admired the water's purity, while the others observed her reaction. Eager to try it, Jessica quickly accepted the offer and moved closer without hesitation. Filled with anticipation, she enthusiastically requested the water as the group watched with concern. While Jessica's unusual behavior continued, the others could only watch in disbelief. Without wasting time, she eagerly drank the water and enjoyed every drop soon. Satisfaction spread across her face as she praised the drink's remarkable taste. Her reaction inspired a new idea, leading the group to consider using the water for crops. After thinking it over, they realized the resource had far greater value than they had previously imagined. Jessica emphasized the importance of water, explaining that it was just as valuable as fertile soil. Hearing her confidence, Tatatoka immediately agreed and supported the idea. Relief appeared on Jessica's face after learning that everyone shared the same view. Several days later, Elt, Marchosias, and their companions set out on a forest expedition. Guided by a forest walker, the group advanced through the woods toward their destination. As the group moved deeper into the forest, a clear path suddenly opened before them. The easier route impressed everyone, allowing the expedition to continue without difficulty. Meanwhile, the forest walker praised the noble's magic while urging the group onward. Unlike the others, Marchosias enjoyed the journey, experiencing a forest for the first time. Then, an unexpected sight caught her attention, leaving her struggling to understand what she had seen. Marchosias nervously described a frightening creature she had encountered in the forest. After hearing her explanation, the group quickly realized the terrifying creature was only a spider. Soon, Elt explained her condition and asked everyone to be patient with her unusual behavior. Discussion then shifted to possible treatments, but previous attempts had achieved no results. Before they could continue, the small companion pointed out a massive tree deeper within the forest. The group arrived at an ancient tree that had once served as the home of the dryads. Suddenly, the small creature rushed ahead after noticing something hidden among the trees. Its strange reaction sparked curiosity, causing the group to consider following its lead. As they discussed the situation, Elt tried to understand why the creature called the unknown presence a friend. Meanwhile, suggesting the mysterious being nearby might not be in good condition. Elt explained the situation to Tatatoka and asked for her opinion about the mysterious creature. After listening carefully, she admitted that the description did not match anything she had encountered before. Meanwhile, Daya showed interest in meeting the creature that had been called a friend. Expecting that response, Elt decided to add the search to the expedition's objectives. Before moving forward, the group agreed to rest briefly while Tatatoka prepared to use her abilities. Tatatoka cast a healing spell on the ancient tree, hoping her improved magic would restore its condition. Soon, the forest trembled as cracks spread through the ground, and roots began to move. To everyone's surprise, the withered sections revived, though the tree returned at only a fraction of its former size. After the spell ended, the group prepared to rest while dealing with the holes left behind. Then Marchosias noticed something unusual near one of the openings. Marchosias pointed out something hidden near the tree, though the others could not see it. Confident in her sharp vision, she proudly explained that darkness did not hinder her sight. Following her guidance, Elt examined the area and discovered a patch of lunar moss. A stone pathway emerged, suggesting the existence of an underground route. After a closer inspection, the group concluded that the paved path was an extremely old road from the past. Examining the hidden passage, Elt suspected it might connect to the dungeon beneath Zanza's. Recalling what they knew, the group noted that cockatrices were the only animal-type monsters reported there. They considered whether the creature had escaped the dungeon and taken shelter nearby. Further discussion pointed toward the third floor, an unexplored region known for its abundant mushrooms and plants. Realizing where the pathway might lead, the group grew concerned about what could be waiting ahead. Marchosias noticed a small creature hidden along the stone path. Moments later, the creature revealed itself and was recognized as the friend they had been discussing. Its behavior suggested a connection to the ancient trees, reinforcing the idea that it belonged there. After considering the discovery, the group agreed that the underground route required a proper investigation. Before advancing further, Elt decided to inform the guild, realizing the matter could affect more than his territory alone. Marchosias carefully searched the air and detected a faint scent coming from deeper within the forest. Trusting her senses, the group allowed her to take the lead and guide their search. Without hesitation, she rushed ahead. showing far more energy than she usually displayed. As they followed behind, Elt began to believe they were finally seeing her true personality. The pursuit came to an abrupt stop when the trail vanished into a dense patch of bushes. While searching the bushes, the group uncovered a hidden structure concealed beneath the vegetation. Once the leaves were cleared away, a large wooden hatch appeared before them. Relieved by the discovery, Marchosias proudly accepted praise for leading them to the location. Just as they prepared to investigate, the hatch suddenly shifted on its own. Sensing danger, the small creature urgently warned the group while positioning itself near the entrance. As the warning became clearer, Dia interpreted it as a message about moving flowers nearby. Soon, the group learned that the flowers were actually monsters and that an attack was imminent. Using his abilities, Elt quickly identified dozens of flower archers hidden ahead. Without hesitation, he alerted the expedition and ordered everyone to prepare for battle. Rather than showing concern, Tetetoka confidently stepped forward, ready to deal with the threat herself. While tending the fields, the young lord observed giant sunflowers spreading across the area. Managing a few was easy, but their growing numbers demanded attention. Nearby, an elf girl stepped forward and swung her weapon with practiced precision, striking one of the oversized plants. Under the amazed gaze of the others, the sunflower split apart and collapsed after her clean attack. With steady effort over time, she became familiar with the work and handled the dangerous plants more confidently. Suddenly, movement in the bushes caught her attention. Reacting at once, she located the hidden presence before it could approach unnoticed. A powerful strike smashed the giant sunflower, ending the battle and scattering its remains across the ground. Relief spread through the group as the area finally became quiet. While everyone relaxed, the elf noticed an unusual sound nearby. From behind the trees, a small round creature slowly appeared. Curious about its behavior, the young lord examined it more closely. Moments later, the creature found a sunflower fragment and swallowed it. After eating, it seemed pleased and reacted energetically. Before anyone could stop it, the creature moved toward the elf and pressed against her affectionately. Its gentle behavior quickly eased the group's caution. The young lord examined the fluffy creature more closely and gently touched its soft body. Nearby, the elf watched as the creature became excited around a rare flower. Curiosity spread through the group as they observed its reaction. Rather than keeping the valuable plant, she offered it to the young lord. Her attention remained focused on the strange creature instead. Soon afterward, the adventurers prepared to leave. With the matter settled, they departed while the group expressed gratitude for their help. After everything calmed down, the young lord checked on the companions. Seeing everyone unharmed, he confirmed that the encounter had ended safely. The fluffy creature expressed gratitude to the elf for removing the dangerous flowers. Its response surprised the group and hinted at unexpected intelligence. Soon afterward, the creature reacted to their words and conveyed its thoughts. The young lord realized it could understand people despite the language barrier. Encouraged by the discovery, the creature eagerly volunteered to help with their next task. Excitement filled the area as it waited for instructions. Meanwhile, the elf enthusiastically began teaching it about a sport from her homeland. Watching the lesson unfold, the young lord reflected on how complicated the rules sounded. Even so, the unusual training session continued with great enthusiasm. As they spent more time together, the young lord felt that he could finally communicate properly with the fluffy creature. To confirm his suspicion, he tested whether the creature could understand him directly. The response suggested that some level of communication was possible. After further observation, he concluded that the creature mainly understood the elf because of her special ability. Wanting to learn more, the young lord asked about the creature's past. Everyone focused their attention on the unusual companion. A brief silence followed as the creature prepared to explain its story. The group waited patiently for the tale to begin. Through the elf's translation, the young lord learned that only the two of them remained there. According to its story, the sisters had grown up alone and relied on an underground passage connected to their nest for survival. Recently, giant flower monsters began attacking anything that moved. As food became scarce, the younger sister avoided danger by staying underground. Because she was protecting their remaining supplies, the younger sister had not returned. The explanation immediately raised concern among the group. After hearing the situation, the young lord asked about the monsters. Determined to help, he began gathering information before taking action. Together with the elf, he asked it to guide them to its nest. Following the forest path, the group arrived at a small house hidden among the trees. The quiet surroundings suggested that someone had been living there for a long time. Along the way, the young lord noticed signs of environmental changes near the area. Meanwhile, the creature hurried forward with growing excitement. Reaching the nest, it called out loudly, Moments later, its younger sister emerged, and the two reunited happily after their separation. Gratitude filled the scene as the sisters thanked their rescuers. With the family safe again, everyone finally relaxed. After reuniting with their family, the sisters warmly welcomed the group. The peaceful atmosphere allowed everyone to rest and exchange information. During the discussion, the young lord learned that a massive colony of flower monsters existed deeper in the forest. Concern spread among the group as they considered their next move. Although retreating was an option, the danger would remain if left unchecked. After weighing the situation, the young lord decided to cooperate with the adventurers and investigate the underground route as well. Meanwhile, the sisters relaxed and enjoyed the food they received. Their attention quickly shifted from danger to the simple pleasure of a meal. The sisters watched curiously as food was offered to them. After a moment of hesitation, one of them decided to give it a try. A small bite quickly turned into approval. Seeing the positive reaction, the younger sister happily enjoyed the treat. Before long, both sisters wanted more. Their enthusiasm amused the group and made communication much easier. Observing their behavior, the young lord began considering a new idea. Since his village was already prepared for cockatrices, with that thought in mind, he approached the older sister. Wanting to understand their situation better, he prepared to ask several important questions. The cat girl was amazed when she finally saw a real adult cockatrice. Having only heard stories before, she could not hide her excitement. Curious about their origins, she asked questions about the northern regions. The discussion soon turned toward local legends and famous creatures. As the conversation continued, comparisons were made between regional traditions and clothing. The cockatrice sisters listened closely to the exchange. Interest shifted to old tales that portrayed cockatrices as frightening monsters. The cat girl wondered how much truth those stories contained. Drawing from local legends, she recounted an ancient attempt to capture large numbers of cockatrices. While discussing the future, the group learned more about the cockatrice sisters. The cat girl hoped to meet them properly before everyone moved to the same village. Soon afterward, the sisters appeared together. One rested peacefully while the other proudly introduced their visitors, and the group noticed how gentle they seemed. Curiosity overcame hesitation as the cat girl approached them. After receiving a friendly greeting, delight quickly spread among the visitors. Warm and incredibly soft, the cockatrice sisters easily won everyone's affection. Watching the interaction, the adventurer hesitated for a moment. Under the cockatrice's curious gaze, she eventually stepped forward to join the gathering. The adventurer finally reached out and touched one of the cockatrice sisters. To her surprise, the creature gently leaned closer and welcomed the attention. Before long, admiration replaced caution as everyone focused on the cockatrice's soft feathers. Unable to resist, the adventurer relaxed into the fluffy embrace. The comfort exceeded her expectations and quickly won her over. Soon, the sisters surrounded the visitors and pressed close to them. Surprise spread across the group as they found themselves buried in soft feathers. By the end of the gathering, the cockatrices were happily cuddling everyone nearby. The visitors could only smile as they enjoyed the peaceful moment together. Surrounded by the cockatrice sisters, the adventurer happily admitted that spending time with them was surprisingly enjoyable. Meanwhile, another visitor carefully brushed their feathers. The sisters seemed pleased with the attention and stayed close to her. As feathers gathered around the area, the young lord realized they could be put to good use. Plans were made to send a report and share the discovery. Far away, guild members discussed the unusual creatures. Their intelligence and ability to understand people became an important topic of interest. After hearing the report, the guild officials expressed curiosity about meeting the cockatrices themselves. At the guild, a report from Heelberry Village arrived along with a detailed map. Curious about its contents, the staff began reviewing the information. As they studied the documents, they learned about a massive colony of flower archers hidden in the forest. Further investigation revealed that the young lord had already included important details in his report. Among the findings was an underground route connected to Zanza's dungeon. The discovery suggested a deeper connection between the recent events. Hearing the full explanation, the vice guildmaster was stunned. What had seemed like a simple monster problem was becoming a far more important matter. While reviewing the report, a guild official realized the underground passage might lead to a long-lost entrance. Meanwhile, the young lord returned with his companions. As the cockatrice population grew, signs of change began appearing throughout the region. Layla arrived with a group of skilled adventurers from various regions and proudly introduced them to the territory. Meanwhile, Elt noticed a small creature peeking out from beneath Layla's hat and paid close attention to it. To his surprise, the tiny creature revealed itself as another peep connected to the one he already knew. Excitement spread as the little peep showed it could communicate, proving it was far more intelligent than expected. After observing the situation, Elt learned that the plants had already reported many events, making this visit especially productive. Elt quickly organized the newly arrived adventurers after learning that the flower archer faced a serious threat. Soon afterward, he assigned guides to lead the visitors to their rooms while preparing support for the mission. Meanwhile, a young girl became fascinated by Peep and immediately wanted one for herself, creating a brief distraction. Later, Leela met with Elt and shared information gathered through her fast travel network, helping the territory respond quickly. With the reports in hand, Elt studied the map carefully and began planning a scouting operation to locate the enemy's position. Leela explained that investigating the unexplored forest would take months if her group worked alone. To speed up the mission, she proposed borrowing support from the territory and using Wood's power. After discussing the details, Leela suggested sharing both the workload and any materials found during the expedition. Following careful consideration, Elt accepted the arrangement and agreed to provide resources in exchange for joining the operation. He turned his attention to a connected underground path and considered whether it should remain open to everyone. Elt carefully considered the risks of the underground route and decided that safety should come before exploration. Hearing his reasoning, Leela expressed appreciation for his cautious judgment and accepted the decision. Later she visited Digozaru and discussed Elt's growing reputation, noting how unusual his abilities were among nobles. While listening, Leela quietly picked up a small peep and examined it with interest. Meanwhile, Digozaru noticed her unusual behavior and realized that her interest in the creature could become important news in the future. Leela reviewed the discussion with Digozaru and explained that Elt had agreed to investigate the underground route while helping with the mission. From her observations, Elt appeared far more mature than most nobles of his age, despite possessing great magical power. As the conversation continued, she described how Elt accepted cooperation with the flower archers under specific conditions. Digozaru then learned that Elt intended to join the front lines personally instead of remaining behind. Considering his decision, Leela concluded that Elt likely wanted to evaluate their abilities while supporting the operation himself. Leela reflected on Elt's background and recognized that his achievements far exceeded what others expected from someone in his position. After discussing the matter, she and Digozaru agreed to focus on the flower archers and the underground route instead of noble affairs. Meanwhile, Leela became distracted by Peep and quietly examined the small creature in her hands. Soon, her attention shifted to improving cockatrice breeding, hoping to strengthen future cooperation with the flower archers. Hearing the idea, Digozaru considered the opportunity and began thinking about expanding the business in Zanzas. Leela quickly developed a new plan and rushed to share it so the group could focus on the cockatrices and the underground route. After reviewing her proposal, Elt learned that a large supply of shields and fire potions would be required for the operation. Confident in the preparations, Leela explained that the necessary equipment could be gathered before the mission began. While studying the details, Elt realized the strategy relied on drawing enemies out and defeating them with fire rather than defending fixed positions. Once the plan was finalized, the group prepared to track enemy movements and choose the most effective location for battle. The group refined their strategy by studying enemy patrol routes and discussing how changes in movement could create opportunities for an ambush. Meanwhile, Elt reviewed the written plan and confirmed that shields and fire potions would play different roles during the operation. Satisfied with the preparations, Leela approved the immediate production of fire potions, so supplies would be ready in time. As responsibilities were assigned, Elt focused on manufacturing equipment, while leaving battlefield duties to his allies. Just then, Jessica stepped forward and offered her assistance, hoping to contribute to the mission alongside the others. Jessica stepped forward and earnestly requested permission to assist, hoping to help both the mission and the cockatrice sisters. Recognizing her determination, Elt accepted her offer and planned to include her in the upcoming preparations. Nearby, Stella also volunteered to contribute, willing to support the group despite her limited combat experience. Rather than sending her into danger, the team decided to make use of her knowledge while keeping her away from direct battles. To improve everyone's safety, Stella organized a training session where the participants practiced throwing balls to strengthen their defensive skills. The training began as the villagers delivered baskets filled with soft practice balls for everyone to use. After receiving the equipment, Stella inspected the balls and thanked the group for preparing them so quickly. Without delay, she called Wood forward and prepared to demonstrate the exercise she had planned. Moments later, Stella threw a ball with surprising speed and accuracy, putting her lesson into action. Watching the successful throw, the observers reacted with relief and admiration as the training session moved forward. Stella encouraged the villagers to practice throwing balls together, so they could improve their skills before the mission. Meanwhile, the others watched with interest as she introduced an unusual training method that few had expected. Despite the group's effort, Stella felt disappointed that nobody attempted to throw the balls back during the exercise. Elsewhere, the village steadily increased production as residents worked together to brew large quantities of fire potions. At the same time, Elt focused on crafting equipment and preparing materials needed for the operation ahead. Elt explained that he could only produce the shield boards, leaving the final assembly to the adventurers. In response, Layla praised the adventurer's skills and assured him that completing the equipment would not be difficult. After settling the matter, Elt suggested preparing additional recovery potions if time allowed before the mission. Meanwhile, the group discussed how efficiently Elt's plant magic could create large amounts of lumber. Hearing the praise, Elt learned that his abilities could help build houses, forts, and entire villages, making them valuable beyond the coming battle. Elt reflected on the peaceful state of the world and understood why large-scale wars had become rare. Even so, he remained uncomfortable with the idea of conflict and preferred his quiet life as a territorial lord. Meanwhile, Stella continued her training and demonstrated impressive accuracy with her throws. Watching the exercise, the adventurers were surprised by her skill and began viewing the training more seriously. As confidence grew among the group, they praised both Stella's abilities and Elt's leadership, believing the upcoming operation would succeed. Several adventurers discussed the upcoming operation and were impressed by how quickly the mission was progressing. Meanwhile, the training continued as participants practiced throwing balls and worked to improve their speed elsewhere. Some villagers noticed the unusual excitement spreading through the settlement and wondered what everyone anticipated. Soon, word spread about a special attraction in the village that even Layla seemed eager to experience. After much speculation, the adventurers learned that the destination was the village's famous mud baths, prompting the group to head there together. At the Dryad's former home, Elt examined a large wooden board and felt satisfied with the result of his work. Meanwhile, the villagers discussed a strategy to lure enemies from their base and eliminate them one by one. Nearby, a beastman quietly watched Elt. Surprise spread through the village as the beastman praised Elt's plant magic and the many benefits it brought to everyone. After hearing that such magic was rare, Elt reflected on his past life and realized how valuable his abilities truly were. Soon, another villager explained that even nobles rarely possessed such a surplus of magical power, deepening Elt's understanding of his own talent. A smoke signal suddenly appeared in the distance, catching everyone's attention and hinting that the battle had already begun. Reports soon arrived that Stella had defeated several opponents with remarkable speed, surpassing the expectations of the villagers. Far from the village, another enemy was struck down as the planned operation continued successfully. Excitement spread among the Dryads as they tested newly made bats, enjoying the weight and strength of the tools Elt had prepared. Before long, warnings came that more enemies were approaching, including a much larger one, while the eager defenders prepared themselves for the next clash. When news of a powerful enemy arrived, Stella stepped forward and confidently took responsibility for dealing with the threat. Elsewhere, the villagers identified the target as a high-ranking flower sniper. Despite its strength, they trusted Stella to handle the battle alone. After taking a moment to focus, she tightened her grip on the wooden bat and prepared for the attack. With precise timing, Stella swung the bat with full force, sending a powerful strike toward the enemy. Moments later, the blow landed directly on the flower sniper, knocking it down in a single hit and leaving the onlookers amazed by her strength. After defeating the strongest enemy, Stella paused briefly before setting out to hunt the remaining smaller foes. While moving through the battlefield, she noticed that Elt's specially crafted bat remained intact despite repeated heavy strikes. A sense of pride grew within her as she realized her skills were steadily improving with each battle. Later, the adventurers returned to the village, where the residents welcomed them and shared freshly made herb balls. Once the celebration settled, Stella reported her experience to Elt, praising the bat's comfort, durability, and ease of use during combat. As Stella praised the bat, Elt recalled stories about her overwhelming strength and realized ordinary weapons often failed to withstand her power. Long ago, countless mithril swords had reportedly shattered during her battles, earning her a fearsome reputation among craftsmen. Hearing this, Stella quickly explained that she never intended to break her weapons and simply fought with all her strength. Rather than blaming her, Elt understood the situation and shared a different perspective on the role of a weapon in battle. Drawing from his past knowledge, he explained that a bat was meant to endure powerful swings, even if breaking eventually became part of its fate. After their discussion, Stella sincerely thanked Elt for the bat, while he quietly wondered why thoughts from his previous life had surfaced so strongly. A warm feeling spread through Stella as she reflected on how differently Elt treated her compared to others who only complained about broken weapons. Instead of worrying about equipment, Elt cared more about Stella's safety, leaving a lasting impression on her. The following day, village life returned to normal as preparations for making herb balls continued. Meanwhile, the workers carefully kneaded the ingredients, checking their progress while learning through trial and error to improve the next batch. To improve the herb balls, Peep carefully demonstrated a proper kneading method and explained how to use the whole body instead of relying only on arm strength. Following the instructions, the worker practiced the technique and gradually understood the difference in movement. Soon, the new method produced better results, making the mixture smoother and easier to prepare. Meanwhile, Peep continued giving advice while the others watched, learned, and enjoyed the freshly made herb balls. As production increased, the villagers gathered more ingredients and worked together to prepare enough herb balls for the days ahead. They believed the enemy leader had finally appeared and turned their attention toward the approaching threat. Without hesitation, Stella rushed forward and swung her bat. The attack struck the target, but the result was not what everyone expected. Moments later, a small hole appeared in a nearby tree, revealing that an invisible projectile had pierced through it. Seeing the damage, the villagers quickly realized the enemy possessed a far more dangerous ability than ordinary monsters. Back at the base, Elt analyzed the situation and concluded that the enemy's magical bullets posed a serious threat because they were almost impossible to see in combat. After studying the enemy's abilities, Elt realized the invisible magic bullets could not be blocked through ordinary means. Drawing on knowledge from his previous world, Elt proposed a risky strategy that relied on perfect timing rather than defense. To prepare for the challenge, he introduced a special training method that required Stella to react without using her sight. Although confused at first, Stella accepted the idea and committed herself to mastering the technique. As night fell, her training began. Blindfolded and guided by sound, she repeatedly practiced detecting attacks she could not see. Improve Stella's awareness, Elt introduced a simple tool that produced a distinct clicking sound whenever it was used. Later, one of the villagers approached while carrying a basket, giving Stella another chance to test her training. Despite wearing a blindfold, she correctly identified who was approaching by focusing on the faint sounds around her. Building on that success, Stella recognized the person's identity and location without relying on sight. Watching the result, Elt concluded that Stella was beginning to sense her surroundings through sound alone, proving that the unusual training method was working. As Stella's training progressed, Elt explained that some monsters relied on sound to detect their surroundings, proving that such abilities were possible. To strengthen her senses further, he used a clicking instrument and instructed her to locate targets by following the direction of the sound. The others watched with interest as Stella quickly adapted to the exercise, impressing everyone with her rapid improvement. Soon the group began discussing how the technique could be useful for scouting and nighttime operations in the future. Meanwhile, Stella continued listening carefully and successfully identified nearby villagers without removing her blindfold. As darkness settled over the village, one of the workers arrived to check on Stella's training and invited her to join everyone for dinner. With the day coming to an end, Elt decided to stop the training session and allow Stella to rest. To everyone's surprise, Stella could now move around and identify nearby people without relying on her sight. Watching her progress, another villager became excited and wondered if the same training could be learned as well. Rather than refusing, Peep suggested starting with a simpler exercise, encouraging the eager learner to practice one step at a time. Determined to follow Peep's advice, the young villager began practicing with one eye closed while trying to keep her balance. From a distance, Elt watched the exercise with concern as her movements remained unsteady. Before she could stumble, Stella reacted instantly and caught her, preventing an accident despite wearing a blindfold. Relieved and grateful, the young villager thanked Stella, while Stella gently reminded her to be more careful during training. Hearing the exchange, Elt realized the technique had advanced even further, as Stella was now able to sense and respond to nearby movements with remarkable accuracy. While discussing future plans, the group considered the possibility that recovered memories might reveal valuable knowledge about their world. Nearby, Stella continued her blindfolded training, focusing closely on the sounds around her, guided by instinct and practice. She reacted instantly and swung her bat toward a target she could not see. To everyone's surprise, the strike landed perfectly, destroying a flower monster without relying on sight. After removing her blindfold, Stella realized her abilities had improved once again through steady training and experience. Filled with confidence after her training, Stella felt she had moved one step closer to achieving her goal. After finishing the shields, Elt decided to check on Stella's squad and headed out to see how the mission was progressing. Along the way, A beastman companion asked whether he was really going to the battlefield, and Elt confirmed his decision. Hearing the news, nearby soldiers became excited and assumed victory was already certain with their lord's arrival. As they walked through the forest, the beastmen reflected on how this was the first time a noble had come so close to the front lines. Meanwhile, Elt remained focused on Stella and the wood folk, worried about their safety during their first real battle. While moving through the forest, Elt realized his companion cared deeply about the soldiers under his command. Soon, a smoke signal appeared in the distance, revealing the location of a flower sniper unit ahead. Rather than taking a detour, Elt chose the faster route and decided to join the group directly. His companion warned him about powerful monsters in the area. Confident in his magic, Elt judged the monsters manageable and asked to be guided forward. Before long, the pair reached the squad and reunited with Wood, finding the group still holding their position. After reaching the squad, Elt checked on their condition and confirmed they were handling the situation without major trouble. Nearby, a flower sniper demonstrated her accuracy, showing that the unit was effectively carrying out its role. Although the battle remained under control, Stella admitted the repeated attacks required heavy concentration and could not be maintained for much longer. Carefully considering the situation, he searched for a method that would strengthen his allies without causing further damage to the forest. Moments later, Elt activated a support spell and spread Spring's blessing across the area, enhancing the squad's condition. As Spring's blessing spread through the battlefield, the squad immediately felt its effects. Their defenses improved, and movement through the forest became much easier. Encouraged by the support magic, the flower snipers resumed their attacks. Even direct hits from nearby threats caused little trouble. Once the area was secured, Stella ordered a short break and began organizing the battlefield. Elt reminded her not to overwork herself, despite her determination. After recovering some energy, Stella prepared her weapon and focused on the next task. With renewed strength, she struck down her targets efficiently. Watching from nearby, Elt and his companion admired her skill and reliability. At the former hut, the sisters tested a special potion. Using water magic, they poured the mixture into the nearby stream and waited for the results. Soon, the enchanted water spread through the area, flowing across the forest floor and reaching the surrounding plants. Before long, the sunflowers absorbed the water and recovered successfully. Relieved by the outcome, the sisters praised the potion's effectiveness. Seeing the restored flowers and flowing water, they realized the method could become a valuable advantage in the final battle. A few days later, life returned to normal. During a peaceful morning, Stella appeared especially cheerful, drawing attention from those around her. On the morning of the final battle, Stella prepared herself, while a small peep eagerly decided to encourage her before the flowers entered combat. Soon Marchan welcomed the visitor inside and helped arrange the surprise. Meanwhile, Elt and Stella watched curiously as the door slowly opened, unsure of what was happening. A group of peep creatures suddenly rushed into the room and lined up together, drawing everyone's attention. Moments later, they began a cheerful performance. Guided by Marchan, the peep troupe danced and cheered enthusiastically. The performance ended successfully, and Stella felt much more confident. Seeing her smile, the others were pleased that their effort had achieved its goal. Afterward, Elt praised the peep for doing its best. Watching the scene, he quietly reflected on how rewarding it was to support and encourage others. Soon Marchan received playful criticism for missing a few dance steps, leaving her visibly embarrassed by the mistake. To recover from the awkward moment, she quickly presented a plate of herb balls she had prepared herself. The gift immediately brightened the atmosphere, as everyone accepted the snack with gratitude. The gathering ended on a warm and cheerful note. Herb balls proved to be a success, and everyone enjoyed them. Pleased by the reaction, Marchan encouraged the group to save the remaining snacks for later. Soon afterward, preparations came to an end, as it was finally time to depart. The peep and Marchan exchanged words of encouragement with the others. Filled with confidence, Stella declared her determination to succeed. Standing beside her, Elt and the others shared the same resolve. Before long, the group arrived at the battlefield and moved into position for the coming fight. Without hesitation, Stella launched the opening attack, striking her target cleanly and signaling the start of the final battle. As the final battle began, Stella's first strike landed successfully. Watching from nearby, Elt calmly confirmed that her attack had reached its target. Without wasting time, she adjusted her grip and prepared another shot, maintaining complete focus on the battlefield. Moments later, Stella carefully lined up her next target. Her movements remained steady as she searched for the best opening. Soon, another opportunity appeared. Recognizing it immediately, she shifted her aim and readied a decisive attack. The follow-up strike connected cleanly, sending the sunflower monster crashing to the ground. One enemy was eliminated, giving Stella's side an early advantage in the battle. Successful hit immediately lifted everyone's spirits. Elt, the soldiers, and their beastmen ally celebrated as Stella scored another victory against the enemy. After the battle, Stella proudly revealed a special item she had obtained from the defeated Flower General. Soon, the item was identified as a rare growstone. Its unusual appearance and potential value immediately caught everyone's attention. As Elt explained its effects, the group learned that a growstone could grant new magical abilities, although the chance of success was extremely low. Wanting to test the stone's power, Elt handed it to Wood and asked him to consume it, hoping something remarkable might happen. Wood swallowed the growstone and immediately attempted to use its power. To everyone's surprise, a new ability awakened at once, allowing him to fire a powerful seed bullet. The sudden success amazed the group. Gaining a new skill from a single growstone was considered extremely rare. After examining the result, Elt concluded that the outcome was likely influenced by the stone's origin. Excited by his new ability, Wood began testing seed bullet repeatedly and enjoyed watching the projectiles fly across the battlefield. Nearby, Stella watched the demonstration with growing interest, eager to see what the new skill could accomplish. After watching Wood test his new skill, Elt reminded Stella to stay careful and avoid exhausting herself. She accepted the advice and remained in high spirits. Soon afterward, Stella rushed back to training and practiced enthusiastically with Wood, leaving Elt convinced her focus was still fixed on combat. During the celebration for the Flower Archer's victory, two fluffy creatures happily danced on the table while everyone enjoyed the festive atmosphere. Nearby, a girl watched with excitement as the cockatrices moved in rhythm, making the gathering even more lively. Soon, the fluffy creatures noticed the unfamiliar girl and became curious about who she was. Following behind her, they guessed she might be a respected guest or someone important to the village. As she continued walking, another thought crossed their minds. Concern quietly replaced curiosity when they wondered whether her head might be cold beneath the earth-colored hat. After the battle, the girl thanked Elt for helping defeat the Flower Archers and was relieved that nobody had been hurt. With the danger gone, she happily looked forward to investigating the underground route together. A different idea soon came to her mind, and she decided to share a proposal instead. Rather than focusing only on exploration, she suggested inviting a branch of the Adventurers Guild to the village. Hearing the unexpected plan, Elt showed interest. Meanwhile, the girl quickly excused herself, promising to explain the details another day. After hearing the proposal, Elt sat down to think carefully about what he should do next. While considering the idea, he recalled that the Adventurers Guild was a large organization with branches across many countries. Seeking another opinion, Elt asked Stella about opening a guild branch and making him its branch chief. Instead of agreeing immediately, Stella questioned whether such an arrangement was even possible. Drawing on her knowledge, she explained that adventurers focus on fighting monsters, while guildmasters handle local issues. Because of that responsibility, those positions are usually entrusted to influential authorities. As the discussion continued, Elt learned that some guild branches had once been managed by former adventurers, making the proposal seem more realistic. After thanking Stella for her advice, he admitted that he still knew little about how guilds currently operated. Before the conversation could continue, the fluffy creatures eagerly suggested a dance, and the nearby dryads quickly joined in. Caught up in the cheerful mood, Elt agreed to participate while everyone gathered around with excitement. Soon, villagers, dryads, and magical creatures danced together in a lively circle, turning the celebration into a joyful community gathering. Once the celebration ended, one fluffy creature fell asleep while Dazo looked completely exhausted from all the dancing. As everyone settled down, Stella mentioned that Dazo seemed interested in discussing something with Elt. Soon afterward, Stella recalled that Elt had received the Cockatrice Tamer skill after defeating a powerful enemy, and a similar message had appeared again. Curious about the result, the two examined the new title that had been granted to Elt. While Stella explained that titles were rare, Elt reflected on his previous life, where titles had little meaning and were mostly regarded as simple labels, rather than sources of power. Wanting to learn more, Elt asked Stella whether she had ever heard of the title he had just received. After thinking for a moment, Stella admitted that the title sounded familiar, but she knew very little about it and doubted it posed any danger. Since neither of them could find a clear answer, Elt decided to set the matter aside and asked everyone to keep it private for now. Meanwhile, the others focused on happier memories, recalling how enjoyable the celebration had been. Soon, the conversation shifted again as praise for the delicious vegetables led to a new realization that caught everyone's attention. The discussion turned to farming when Jessica learned that the vegetables had grown using her water. Surprised by the result, she recalled helping with the plants and wondered why they had grown so quickly. Curious to test it again, Jessica accepted an offer to drink more water, while a nearby creature eagerly joined in. Moments later, she praised the taste, but her body suddenly began to wobble from the unexpected effect. Before she could fall, the others rushed to catch her, realizing how powerful her influence had become. They praised her remarkable strength and growth. After recovering, Jessica was gently supported as the group helped her continue walking through the village. While being carried, she spoke about her hopes for the future, and reflected on memories of caring for her younger sisters. Hearing that, another villager sympathized with her difficult past, especially since she no longer knew what had become of her family. Rather than dwelling on those worries, Jessica expressed her happiness with the life she had found in the village. Conversation shifted again, when a creature excitedly announced that this year's lucky item was a white rose, drawing everyone's attention. The group laughed when the lucky item was revealed to be white roses, and Jessica happily realized she was already growing them. As the celebration finally came to an end, the village grew quiet, with everyone settling down for a peaceful night. Later, Elt remained awake and noticed that one of the girls was already up and preparing food despite the early hour. While watching her work, he learned that she had been practicing diligently under Dia's guidance and was steadily improving. Nearby, a fluffy creature rested comfortably, as Elt reflected on how much Dia had matured and how well everyone was growing together. As the conversation continued, Elt learned that Wood was doing well, though his brother tended to be careless and often caused trouble. Nearby, Dazo slept peacefully, occasionally moving around in her dreams. Without waking up, she wrapped her arms around the large creature beside her, making it seem as though she was seeking comfort. Watching the scene, Elt and Stella smiled at how naturally everyone had become attached to one another like a family. A quiet sense of warmth filled the village as the night passed peacefully, bringing the cheerful day to a gentle close. The next day, the group gathered to discuss the advantages of establishing an adventurers guild branch in the village. As the meeting continued, they reviewed long-term goals, including the underground route investigation that could take many years to complete. To support those efforts, the girl explained that a guild branch would gradually collect valuable knowledge and resources over time. While reading an old document, Elt discovered that the position of branch chief had traditionally been inherited within his family. Surprised by the revelation, he reflected on his relatives, and realized he had never known about his family's connection to the Adventurers Guild. As the discussion deepened, the group explained that opening a guild branch would bring status, protection, and political advantages to the village. After listening carefully, Elt concluded that the proposal offered more benefits than risks, especially since it could strengthen his position. Financial concerns were raised next, but the village's successful agriculture reassured everyone that funding would not be a major problem. With the basic requirements reviewed, attention shifted toward staffing, since a branch needed several capable people to operate properly. To solve that issue, the group began recommending candidates, and Anala was quickly suggested for a key security role due to her experience and reliability. As the staffing discussion continued, the group recommended Noel for the records manager position because of her experience as a merchant. Attention then shifted to the role of vice chief, and Elt considered Stella the most suitable candidate despite her modest objections. After some thought, Stella agreed to accept the responsibility, seeing it as a way to contribute more to the village she now called home. Pleased with her decision, Elt entrusted her with the position and expressed confidence in her abilities. Elt moved on to appoint Noel as records manager, believing no one else was better qualified for the job. Noel explained that important guild positions were often entrusted to people connected to influential families and trusted retainers. Despite feeling inexperienced, she accepted the responsibility and promised to give her full effort to the role. With the main positions decided, the girl requested some time before giving her final answer, choosing to remain in the village for a while longer. Rather than seeking rewards, she expressed her happiness with spending time alongside the cockatrices and her companions. After the meeting ended, Elt realized Anala had already left and began wondering where she had gone. The next morning, Elt was greeted by Tetetoka, who cheerfully approached him as soon as she arrived. During their conversation, Elt discovered that Analia had spent the day resting instead of joining the others. Having overindulged during the celebration, Analia relaxed comfortably while recovering her strength. Once he found her, Elt shared the news that Leia wanted to establish an Adventurers Guild branch in the village and congratulated her. Then, without much delay, he offered Analia the position of security manager. The sudden proposal caught her completely off guard. After hearing Elt's proposal, Analia happily accepted the position and promised to help the village however she could. Satisfied with her answer, Elt welcomed her to the team and looked forward to working together. Meanwhile, Tetetoka offered some lukewarm water, and Analia eagerly asked to try it. Moments later, The water was poured over her, allowing her to soak comfortably while resting. A refreshed smile spread across her face as she enjoyed the unusual treatment, while Elt learned that the simple method had only recently been discovered in the village. Watching Analia enjoy her new life, Elt felt relieved to see how comfortably she had settled into the village. Elsewhere, activity filled the streets of Zanz's market, which appeared far livelier than before. As she walked through town, Mogu searched for the carriage to Heelberry Village and wondered how Analia was doing. After looking around, she decided that finding a carriage might not even be necessary. Confused by the strange appearance, they could only wonder what was happening while hoping something worthwhile would come from it. Gathering information, the small creature confirmed that the goods and people involved were capable and reliable. Meanwhile, it turned its attention to Heelberry Village and reflected on the fourth son of the Nagash family, with its destination in mind. The creature continued forward, already anticipating future harvests and looking forward to the tomatoes waiting there. While reading a report about the Adventurers Guild, Elt learned how the organization handled supplies, materials, and other duties across the region. Later, he discussed the guild in Zanz's and recalled how many people gathered there after the battle against the lightning beasts. Meanwhile, Stella listened as the conversation shifted to food and the unusual shaved ice made from an ice dragon fang. Curiosity grew when she compared local dishes with those from her homeland and considered the heavy use of oil in Zanz's cuisine. Seeing her interest, Elt invited her to taste it, hoping she could better understand the flavors enjoyed by the people there. Inspired by the discussion, Stella offered to prepare the dish herself and eagerly joined the cooking process. Soon, ingredients were sliced and arranged as preparations moved forward in the kitchen. Meanwhile, Elt checked the recipe and gathered vegetables and seasonings needed for the meal. Using his plant magic, he quickly produced rare spices that were difficult to obtain in Zanz's, surprising Stella with their variety. As the cooking continued, she adjusted the seasoning with more care while Elt reviewed additional ingredients for the next dish. While reviewing the recipe, Elt realized one ingredient came from a monster known as the Mushroom Garden, a valuable resource found in the dungeon. Unfortunately, he could not produce the mushrooms with plant magic, because fungi were outside its limits. Just then, Machosia arrived and mentioned that the mushrooms were available at the village store, offering a simple solution. Meanwhile, Peep insisted on joining the trip despite struggling to stay awake after dozing off from the pleasant smell of cooking. Before leaving, Elt promised to return soon, while Stella happily continued preparing the meal and expected it to be ready by then. As the sun began to set, Elt headed toward the village with Machosia and Peep to buy the missing ingredients. Along the way, they noticed many villagers returning home, showing that the day's work was coming to an end. Soon, the group arrived at the marketplace and decided to check the nearest stalls first. There, a cheerful Nyafu merchant welcomed customers from behind a small store filled with goods. Continuing the search, Elt greeted familiar faces at the market and briefly caught up with them about their day. At the market stall, Elt asked about bomb mushrooms, and the merchant confirmed that some were still available for sale. After searching through the stock, the merchant quickly located the item and brought it over for inspection. Soon she presented a high-quality bomb mushroom that matched what Elt needed for the recipe. While examining it, he learned that the mushroom had been traded for years and was even used as a stimulant by some people. The merchant explained that cooking made the mushroom bitter, so it was usually eaten fresh in salads instead. After hearing how Stella planned to use the bomb mushrooms, Elt decided to trust her judgment and purchased a large supply from the merchant. With the shopping finished, he gathered everything needed and headed back home before dinner. Soon, Elt and his companions returned to the house, where the aroma of cooking drifted through the entrance. As they stepped inside, the rich scent of spices and sesame oil confirmed that Stella had nearly completed the meal. Moments later, she welcomed everyone back and proudly presented the finished dish, leaving the group eager to taste the unfamiliar cuisine. Back at home, Elt handed the bomb mushrooms to Stella, who examined their quality and prepared them for the dish. Before cooking, she instructed him to wash the mushrooms carefully because improper preparation would make them bitter. Soon, the cleaned mushrooms were mixed with the other ingredients, leaving Elt with little choice but to follow her lead. Meanwhile, Stella added a special seasoning as the final step, drawing everyone's attention to the pot. With everything ready, she finished the dish in one swift motion, bringing the cooking process to its conclusion. As the ingredients cooked, Stella tossed the bomb mushrooms into the pan instead of cutting them, surprising everyone watching nearby. Moments later, she continued flipping the mushrooms through the air while carefully controlling the timing. Once they were heated enough, Stella sliced them during the toss and completed a traditional elven cooking technique, although the method looked risky. She explained that cutting them earlier would have ruined the dish. After the demonstration ended, the group praised her skill, leaving Stella both embarrassed and pleased by their reaction. With the cooking complete, Stella presented the finished dish and explained that it combined vegetables, bomb mushrooms, and sesame oil. Around the table, everyone studied the unfamiliar meal with interest while eagerly preparing to taste it. After offering thanks for the food, the group began dinner and sampled the dish together. Carefully, Elle took the first bite as Stella watched closely, hoping her recipe would be well received. A moment later, his reaction confirmed the result, and the successful meal brought relief and satisfaction to the gathering. As the meal was served, Elle noticed the rich aroma and learned that the bomb mushrooms had been cooked with various spices and sesame oil. After several bites, the group became increasingly impressed by the flavor, finding the dish far better than they had expected. Hearing the praise, Stella felt relieved and happy that her cooking had been so well received. Soon the compliments overwhelmed her, and she became emotional after realizing everyone genuinely enjoyed the meal. Meanwhile, the others continued asking for more, turning the successful dinner into a memorable gathering. With everyone enjoying the meal, Stella happily agreed to prepare the dish again in the future. Meanwhile, the others relaxed after dinner, satisfied by the food and the pleasant gathering. Later, Elt began considering how Stella's cooking could contribute to the development of the village. Unlike the local cuisine, her traditional elven recipes offered something unique that could attract interest from many people. After hearing his idea, Stella accepted the proposal and decided to help introduce elven cooking to the community. Accepting ELT's proposal, Stella pointed out that local tastes differed from traditional elven cooking, especially in the amount of spice people could handle. Soon afterward, preparations began for a tasting event to gather opinions and test new recipes. When the dishes were finished, Stella proudly presented several versions of the meal to the invited participants. As the guests examined the food, they noticed subtle differences in aroma and ingredients between each plate. Without delay, the tasting started, and everyone sampled the dishes while they were still hot to compare their flavors. As the tasting continued, the guests reacted positively to the first dish and praised its rich flavor and balanced seasoning. Meanwhile, Stella listened to their impressions and noticed that the tingling spices had become a memorable part of the meal. Afterward, Elt presented the next plate, encouraging everyone to compare it with the previous version. While sampling both dishes, the participants found differences in flavor and agreed that each had its own appeal. Finally, Elt revealed the last plate, a spicier variation designed to match the tastes commonly preferred in his hometown. As the tasting progressed, the guests discussed how offering several spice levels would make the dish easier for different people to enjoy. Meanwhile, opinions on the spicier version remained positive, with some participants appreciating its strong flavor and refreshing effect. Hearing the feedback, Stella happily served additional portions, while the group continued evaluating the recipes. For others, the medium spiced dish proved the most comfortable choice, especially for those accustomed to local tastes. By the end of the event, the testers agreed that spice preferences varied, and the different versions successfully appealed to a wide range of people. After comparing the dishes, one guest declared the mild version her favorite, reinforcing the idea that different spice levels were necessary. Meanwhile, Elt began planning how elven cuisine could be introduced through the Adventurers Guild and other village activities. As the discussion continued, his thoughts shifted toward future projects, including the construction of treehouses and new community facilities. Later, the group spent time outdoors enjoying the peaceful atmosphere while watching Peep and the others play. Suddenly, their attention was drawn to something unusual nearby, bringing the relaxed moment to an unexpected halt. Following the disturbance, Peep searched the area and spotted a strange flying figure approaching from above the forest. As the figure drew closer, the group prepared to guide the visitor toward the village and learn its purpose. Meanwhile, discussion among the villagers led to the conclusion that the newcomer might be a vampire due to its unusual appearance and behavior. While descending, the visitor continued approaching as everyone observed from below with growing curiosity. Moments later, the landing proved difficult, forcing the newcomer to struggle in midair while trying to reach the ground safely. After a rough landing, the strange visitor crashed into the ground, leaving the group worried about its condition. A geologist named Iskamina arrived for an investigation and was warmly introduced to the group. Soon after, Mogu was introduced to Stella, a well-known hero from Zanzas. The friendly atmosphere made the meeting feel comfortable from the start, filled with admiration. Mogu greeted Stella with great respect. Meanwhile, Stella politely returned the introduction and accepted the warm welcome. Without hesitation, Stella offered a handshake and encouraged Mogu to treat her casually. Seeing her humble attitude, Mogu became even more impressed. Excitement quickly grew as Mogu praised Stella's down-to-earth nature. While Stella remained modest, the others quietly watched the cheerful exchange unfold. Stella praised Iskamina's abilities and spoke highly of her knowledge, Hearing such recognition, Iskamina felt delighted. Attention then shifted to practical skills as Mogu's experience with minerals and blacksmithing became a topic of discussion. Curiosity grew when his training was mentioned. Encouraged by the conversation, Iskamina decided to examine the territory's mineral resources. Plans quickly took shape for the days ahead. Since they had known each other since their academy years, Iskamina arranged to stay with Stella while preparations began. Before starting work, the group agreed to tour the village. The visit would serve as both a welcome introduction and an opportunity to learn more about the territory. As preparations continued, Iskamina became curious about the village's famous mud bath. Someone connected to the investigation was expected to arrive soon, prompting the group to move forward with their plans. Elsewhere, an accident interrupted the journey. A small winged figure crashed into the ground and lay motionless, leaving nearby witnesses worried about his condition. The fallen traveler regained consciousness and confirmed that he had escaped the crash without serious injuries. After recovering, he explained that the protective suit had absorbed most of the impact. Although landing remained difficult, he was healthy enough to continue the trip. Rescued traveler finally introduced herself as Nana, an adventurer. However, signs of memory loss soon became apparent, leaving the group concerned about her situation. Carrying equipment was effortless, thanks to her storage magic, which allowed her to keep belongings hidden away. With a quick motion, she activated the skill and retrieved an item from storage. The display immediately caught everyone's attention. Further explanations revealed the magic's limitations. Storing objects was simple, but recovering them required time and concentration. As the discussion continued, Nana revealed the purpose of her journey. Reports of a recently discovered underground passage had drawn her to the area to investigate the mystery. Nana learned that the group was connected to the investigation she had come to pursue. Realizing they shared the same objective, she asked for guidance and cooperation. Without wasting time, the others agreed to help. The tour resumed as Nana followed along. Eager to learn more about the territory, Unusual Sight left a strong impression and highlighted the remarkable abilities of the village's residents. The group then arrived at a large production area filled with cultivated crops. Nana admired the scale of the operation while receiving a detailed explanation of its purpose. Surprise soon turned into fascination as she discovered fruits growing far outside their normal seasons. Welcoming atmosphere left a positive impression and made the settlement feel even more inviting. Before long, the group arrived at the famous mud bath. Nana was surprised to learn that someone was already enjoying it, just as rumors had suggested. Discussion soon turned to the bath's benefits. While it was known for improving health and appearance, the results seemed to vary from person to person. Curious about the attraction, the others wondered whether Nana would try it as well. Unfortunately, her protective suit prevented her from joining without difficulty. Confused by the suggestion, she hesitated, while the rest of the group realized they had not explained themselves clearly. The group learned that the mud bath was a popular destination, attracting regular visitors from across the village. Their conversation was interrupted by news that the people they had been waiting for had finally arrived, with perfect timing following the directions. The group found one of the arrivals completely immersed in the mud bath. Realization struck when Nana recognized the person relaxing in the bath. Surprised by the unexpected encounter, she reacted before anyone else could explain. The others soon caught up and pointed out the area beyond the bath. Curious about what lay ahead, Nana prepared to continue the tour with the group. Tour unexpectedly turned into a reunion when familiar faces appeared. Seeing her parents among the group, Nana's attention immediately shifted from the investigation to her family. While introductions were being arranged, Nana politely greeted everyone she had not met before. Interest soon grew around her unusual outfit and mysterious appearance. After learning that Nana was an active ranked adventurer, the villagers welcomed her warmly. Her reputation as an expert in magical tools and dungeon exploration impressed those hearing about her achievements for the first time. Various items appeared from seemingly nowhere, giving the group a first-hand look at the skill that made her famous. Nana revealed that her flying ability came from a special magic tool. The explanation impressed the group, who had been curious about how she traveled through the air. Interest quickly spread among the onlookers. Encouraged by their curiosity, Nana was asked to demonstrate the device in action. Proud of her skills, she confidently accepted the request. With preparations complete, everyone stepped back to watch the performance. The flight began successfully, but something seemed off. Instead of moving smoothly, Nana drifted through the air with an increasingly unstable path. Although no immediate danger appeared, the spectators could not help worrying that the demonstration might end in another accident. Ignoring the warnings, Nana attempted a daring landing while still spinning through the air. Nana crashed into the ground and rolled across the field, bringing the flight test to an abrupt conclusion. After confirming that she was unharmed, the group could only stare in disbelief. The unusual arrival quickly earned Nana a reputation as one of the village's most eccentric visitors. Soon afterward, the investigation resumed. The team headed toward the moat, where a new report had drawn attention to an unusual phenomenon. At the site, they learned that the moat had been created using magic. However, adventurers had recently detected mysterious magical traces within the water. Since the strange magical traces appeared in the same area, they began considering a possible connection. Careful observation revealed nothing unusual at first. Even so, repeated reports from multiple adventurers convinced the team that the phenomenon could not be dismissed as coincidence. As the search continued, signs of an unusual disturbance gradually emerged. The investigators became certain that something had recently affected the moat. A sudden reaction from a companion drew everyone's attention toward the water. There, several small mushroom-like objects could be seen floating near the surface. Examining the discovery more closely, the group identified it as the source of the mysterious magic. Concerned by the discovery, the investigators concluded that the situation could become dangerous if left unchecked. The following morning, the group returned to the moat for a closer examination. Despite the early hour, everyone gathered to continue the investigation. A careful inspection revealed no magical reaction this time. The absence of evidence puzzled the team and complicated their efforts to identify the source. Even after further searching, the strange mushroom-like specimen failed to appear. The inconsistency suggested that the phenomenon was not constant. After considering the circumstances, Elt proposed a possible explanation. Since underground conditions and water flow could change over time, determined to find the source of the mysterious magic, Nana unveiled a new device called Tunbo-kun. She explained that Tunbo-kun was an amphibious magic detector capable of flying and searching difficult areas. Once activated, the detector took to the air and began scanning the surroundings. Although its movements looked unstable, Nana confidently trusted its performance. The machine's erratic flight worried the spectators, yet it continued operating without issue. Even so, its unusual behavior left everyone slightly uneasy. While Nana relied on her inventions, Iskamina decided to conduct a separate examination using her own equipment. Iskamina introduced a specialized geological survey device designed to detect underground magical activity. Having seen similar equipment before, the others quickly recognized its purpose. Confident in her expertise, she began the survey at once. The investigation took an unexpected turn as she operated the machine with remarkable enthusiasm. While the equipment was capable of locating hidden magical signals, its operation seemed far more unconventional than anyone had anticipated. As Iskamina continued her energetic survey, Nana remained determined not to be outdone. The competition between their different approaches quietly intensified. Suddenly, Nana's detector slipped into the water. Rather than giving up, she viewed the accident as an opportunity. The discovery immediately drew the group's attention and gave the investigation a new direction. Further examination suggested that a hidden water vein connected to the moat. Since the moat itself was mostly dry, the source of the water had to originate elsewhere. While discussing possible origins, the team considered a lake located beyond the village. The theory seemed plausible enough to warrant deeper investigation. Nana's detector then revealed multiple magical reactions instead of a single source. This unexpected result challenged the earlier assumption about an isolated specimen. Moments later, Iskamina confirmed that magical activity extended throughout the underground area. As the underground threat became clear, Stella readied her weapon and prepared the group for the coming battle. A massive surge of water suddenly burst from the ground, drawing everyone's attention as the group watched the strange phenomenon in surprise. Confusion spread among them as they tried to identify the source. While several possibilities were quickly considered, but no clear answer emerged. Moments later, the truth became clear when a gigantic blue hydra appeared, revealing itself as a powerful artifact connected to the Demon King. Further examination explained that the artifact was an ancient magical tool from the demon realm. Realizing the threat, the group concluded that the 5 water pillars had to be destroyed to stop the dangerous artifact. Without hesitation, the group moved into position as the hydra approached. One of the girls stepped forward and directed everyone to attack while she attracted its attention. Meanwhile, Elt activated his plant magic and formed a massive tree arm, sending it toward the monster's head. Although the strike connected, the blue hydra remained standing and quickly prepared to continue its assault. At the same time, another ally unleashed a powerful torrent spell, crashing a wave of force into the creature. Not far away, the small bird-like companion joined the battle as well, swinging a whip to support the coordinated attack. The bird-like companion's whip struck one of the hydra's heads, causing the affected part to vanish into nothingness. Seeing an opening, the warrior rushed forward, Using an ally as a stepping stone, she leaped high above the remaining heads and prepared the finishing blow. With precise timing, she targeted the final head while the weakened creature struggled to defend itself. A powerful strike landed directly on the last remaining core, sending the massive body collapsing toward the ground. After the battle ended, the group confirmed that the artifact's power had greatly diminished, while a small object was left behind where the Hydra had fallen. Group gathered around the small object left behind. While Elt examined it carefully, Nana showed clear signs of exhaustion from the battle. According to the bird-like companion, the powerful whip consumed a large amount of magic, making it difficult to use for extended periods. Recognizing their limits, the party decided to end the investigation for the day and return after recovering their strength. Along the way, Nana carried the tired companion on her shoulder as the group peacefully made their way back through the forest. During the journey, learning that it had been improved with special technology and offered far greater resistance than before. While examining the recovered core, the companion discovered that it contained numerous spells. Meanwhile, Nana recalled encountering a similar water hydra in the past when it blocked a route near the village, revealing that the artifact was not a new threat. Further discussion led to the conclusion that the hydra functioned as a guard, attacking anyone who entered its designated area without distinction. Attention soon turned to the remaining cores, and the group learned that many were still scattered across the region. Although their previous victory boosted morale, the realization that 15 cores remained left everyone concerned about the challenges ahead. After discussing the threat, the group agreed that locating the remaining cores would become their next major objective. New information suggested that a vast underground structure existed beneath the area, far larger than a simple tunnel network. As the possibilities were examined, the team concluded that additional cores might be hidden below ground, requiring a carefully selected expedition. With the immediate crisis resolved, everyone returned home and was warmly welcomed by those waiting for their safe return. Elt was asked about the day's events. Rather than giving a detailed explanation, he simply hinted that quite a lot had happened. Back at the settlement, the group discussed the dangers of the magic water and began considering how to deal with the remaining cores. During the conversation, Elt asked whether the water hydra had existed during the era of the Demon King, hoping to learn more about its origins. In response, stories emerged about a legendary warrior whose strength had once made her one of the most feared fighters of her time. The tale described her cutting down numerous hydra heads with incredible speed, overwhelming the monster in battle. Although the achievement sounded unbelievable, the warrior calmly admitted that such a feat was far beyond her current abilities. As the discussion continued, Elt recalled a similar monster from his previous life and identified a possible weakness. However, a new problem quickly emerged. Very few people in the village could use offensive lightning magic, making the strategy difficult to carry out. Instead of giving up, the group searched for alternative methods and began discussing special materials and potions that could enhance attack power, drawing on knowledge that was unfamiliar to the others. Elt explained how refining certain materials could greatly improve their effectiveness. With a plan taking shape, he listed the necessary resources and asked everyone to help gather them for future battles. After finalizing the plan, the group identified several rare materials that could be used to create stronger lightning-based equipment and supplies. Rather than searching alone, the merchant and alchemist quickly volunteered to use their respective connections to obtain the required resources. Although the materials were difficult to find, Elt determined that only a small quantity would be necessary for the project. Satisfied with the proposal, he entrusted the task of gathering and preparing the materials to the two specialists. With their new responsibilities assigned, both accepted the mission enthusiastically and immediately began making preparations for the work ahead. While preparations continued, the merchant returned with a blueprint obtained from the Adventurers Guild, providing a new reference for future construction. After reviewing the design, Elt noted that the project was progressing smoothly, helped by additional materials gathered through the group's efforts. Although the structure could be built with his magic, he explained that maintaining precise control would require significant concentration and effort. Elsewhere, the atmosphere remained relaxed as some of the residents spent their free time walking and enjoying the peaceful surroundings. Meanwhile, several companions treated their training like a game, practicing their abilities outdoors while continuing to improve their combat readiness. During a peaceful afternoon, the tree-like companion proudly demonstrated a newly learned ability, surprising everyone gathered around. Instead of creating only hard seeds, it successfully produced several different varieties, including soft and fluffy ones that immediately attracted attention. Soon, the fluffy seeds became popular among the residents, who happily collected them and carried them home as souvenirs. As the excitement continued, one of the younger companions expressed a desire to become stronger and help during future battles. After hearing about the Hydra incident, Encouraged by that determination, the tree-like companion offered support and continued practicing its new skill with even greater enthusiasm. As the playful training continued, the tree-like companion launched another fluffy seed into the air, drawing cheerful reactions from everyone nearby. Meanwhile, the others reflected on the recent battle and agreed that they still owed much to Paisio's efforts during the fight against the Hydra. Not long afterward, two companions sensed fragments of old memories beginning to return, raising hopes that useful information might soon be recovered. Encouraged by the possibility, the group offered their support and wished them success in uncovering those forgotten memories. Later, attention shifted back to village life when news arrived that the Cockatrice sisters had settled in comfortably. While discussing the village's future, the group considered making the Cockatrice a local symbol. Earlier plans to redesign the Adventurers Guild around that theme were recalled, though the project had been abandoned due to excessive costs. Rather than dismissing the concept entirely, Elt joked that everyone should first learn to picture a cockatrice clearly before making such decisions. As the meeting ended, the group encouraged one another and looked forward to more peaceful days in the growing settlement. Elt used his plant magic to grow several flower spirits. Their caretaker gratefully accepted the gift and prepared to look after them. Soon after, the caretaker happily watered the newly grown spirits with great care. Before long, the flower spirits soaked themselves together in a pool. Their identical appearances surprised Elt, yet their cheerful behavior showed they were enjoying themselves. As they relaxed, one spirit reflected on the meaning of family. Elt quietly considered how different those values were from the beliefs of his previous life. Meanwhile, thoughts drifted toward distant companions. Wondering how they were doing, the group spent the peaceful day together. While talking with the flower spirit, Elt learned about a winter festival from her homeland, where music played an important role in the celebration. Excitement quickly spread as the spirit shared more details about the event and the blessings connected to it. Elsewhere, several beastfolk arrived by the river after the recent battle. Their visit was partly to check on Elt's condition and offer assistance. Determined to help, the group prepared for fishing despite the cold weather. Confidence remained high as they readied their simple tools. Unlike the others, the fluffy beastfolk member felt completely comfortable in the chilly air and stayed cheerful throughout the outing. The beastfolk explained that their people were not well suited for life around water. Even so, they remained confident in their own strengths and traditions. Meanwhile, the discussion turned to rivers and diving. The vampire girl admitted she was unfamiliar with such activities, making the task seem difficult. Before long, the fishing net was brought over. Elt watched as the group prepared to put their plan into action. Attention then shifted to the net itself. Its long history and craftsmanship revealed the knowledge passed down through generations. Rather than focusing only on names, the group reflected on the skills and heritage preserved within the tool. The beastfolk explained how earlier generations improved their fishing tools. Pride filled the elder as he spoke of preserving inherited magical tools. Exploring unknown places was also part of their mission to expand that legacy. Elsewhere, a young alchemist mounted a horse and prepared for a journey. A small companion joined the ride as they set off together. Dust rose behind them while they raced down the road. Their goal was to reach Zanza's as quickly as possible. Confident in her abilities, the alchemist pushed forward at full speed, carrying valuable potions and supplies. She hurried toward her destination without delay. After traveling for some time, the alchemist reached a small lodge located between the village and Zanza's. Guided by her companion, she approached the lodge and decided to stay for the night. The place was managed by trusted associates of a trading company. Moments later, she entered the building and politely announced her arrival. Her small companion followed closely behind. Recognition came immediately from the staff. Happy to see familiar visitors again, they quickly welcomed the travelers and offered to care for the horse. With everything settled, the group headed inside. A simple meal and a chance to rest awaited them after the long ride. After settling in, the travelers placed their food orders and prepared to enjoy a quiet evening at the lodge. While waiting for the meal, plans for the next day were discussed. Reaching Zanza's and gathering materials remained the group's main objective. Soon, attention shifted to local news. A merchant shared information he had recently heard while serving drinks to customers. The conversation grew more serious as reports emerged about unusual movements by the Black Book Knights. Curious and concerned, the travelers listened carefully. Further details suggested the knights had been seen throughout the kingdom, more often than usual. Rumors surrounding the Black Book Knights suggested that powerful figures might be involved. The following day, the group finally arrived in Zanza's. Their attention quickly turned to gathering the materials they needed. Most supplies were obtained without trouble, leaving only Almirage claws on their list. A lead soon caught their interest. Guided through the city's back streets, the travelers searched for a rare source of materials. Although the route seemed suspicious, their guide remained confident. At the end of the alley, a hidden location came into view. According to the guide, valuable gems and uncommon goods were secretly traded there. Following the lead, the travelers arrived at a modest shop, hidden deep within the back alleys. At first glance, the store appeared filled with ordinary decorations and counterfeit antiques. Despite that, the group remained focused on finding what they needed. After entering, they were welcomed by the shopkeeper, an old acquaintance familiar with their guide and trading company. Without wasting time, the travelers asked about Almirage claws. The shopkeeper searched his inventory while the group waited. Hopefully, good fortune favored them that day. A recent shipment had just arrived, raising the possibility that the rare material they sought was finally within reach. The shopkeeper presented a rare Almirage claw for inspection. After examining its quality, the travelers confirmed it was exactly what they had been searching for. Satisfied with the find, they completed the purchase and thanked the merchant for his assistance. Curiosity led them to ask where such a rare item had come from. The answer revealed that it had originated from a knight's supply stock. Elsewhere, another group investigated an underground passage and discovered a hidden river beneath the area. Using the newly completed map, the explorers pieced together the underground layout. The unexpected discovery promised to make future investigations far easier. Using the map they had created, the explorers studied the underground area. The village outskirts had already been charted, but the region beneath the settlement remained unclear. Further analysis suggested the passage might be artificial rather than natural. That possibility encouraged the group and gave them a new direction to investigate. As they advanced, the tunnel appeared safe, despite the damp surroundings. No signs of monsters or immediate danger could be found. Deeper inside, the underground route gradually widened. The unusual structure strengthened their belief that someone had once built or maintained it. Before long, the temperature began to rise. Noticing the change, the explorers carefully continued forward. As the explorers moved deeper underground, they noticed signs that the hidden river was nearby. Closer inspection revealed it was a small bomb mushroom. Its appearance matched specimens that had previously been found near the moat. Although the mushroom was not large enough to pose a serious threat, the discovery prompted the group to proceed more carefully through the tunnel. An hour passed without any sign of the blue hydras they were searching for. Even so, the investigation continued as the underground passage stretched onward. Soon, the sound of flowing water echoed through the cavern. At the same time, patches of moonlit moss appeared nearby. Following the sound of water, the explorers emerged into a vast underground cavern. After recovering from their surprise, they studied the river more carefully. Its direction suggested it might connect to Zanzas. Wanting to learn more, the group searched for signs of a crossing. A simple test was proposed to estimate the river's width. A stone sailed across the water and landed on the opposite side. The result revealed that the river was much narrower than expected. Further observation showed the water was surprisingly shallow. With a visible bank across the way, crossing the underground river now seemed possible. The discovery strengthened their belief that the underground route had been deliberately constructed. With the mystery partially solved, the explorers considered their next move. The path ahead remained unexplored and full of possibilities. Rather than turning back, they chose to continue deeper into the cavern. A plan was quickly formed to cross the river safely. Using his magic, the young explorer created a sturdy wooden walkway. The structure stretched steadily across the water. Soon, the completed bridge connected both sides of the underground river. With a safe crossing secured, the group prepared to advance farther into the hidden passage. After completing the wooden walkway, the group checked its stability, confident in the bridge and their remaining strength. Carefully crossing the river, the explorers searched for anything unusual. Their inspection revealed no immediate signs of danger. Meanwhile, the shallow water and glowing moss remained unchanged. The consistent environment suggested they were still following the same underground route. With the crossing secured, the group gathered on the far bank. Their investigation then continued deeper into the cavern beyond the river. Ahead of the group, a narrow path stretched across a vast underground river as they headed toward the opposite side. Observing the surroundings, Elt was amazed by the immense scale of the cave and the strangely formed passage. While examining the area, the companions considered that the river and pathway might be remnants of an ancient dungeon structure. Soon after, another possibility emerged that the cave itself had been artificially constructed in a deeper layer of the dungeon. Suddenly, a figure noticed movement in the distance, causing everyone to turn their attention toward the far side of the cavern. Across the river, several large figures came into view, making the group wonder whether they were monsters and their offspring. Moments later, the mystery eased as giant cockatrices were found gathered around a dryad while making cheerful sounds. To everyone's surprise, the creatures were carefully washing sweet potatoes instead of showing any hostility. Meanwhile, Elt noticed an unusual glow coming from the cockatrice's eyes and paid closer attention. After hearing an explanation, the group learned that the shining eyes were a natural effect of the cave's darkness rather than anything dangerous. Learning about the cave creatures, the group decided to approach them and establish contact. Without warning, a massive blue hydra burst into view near the river. Its body appeared larger than before, and several necks seemed to have merged together. Concern quickly spread among the party as they realized the creature's appearance had changed since their last observation. Before anyone could react further, a small chick charged forward and struck the hydra with surprising force. Amid the confusion, Elt prepared for battle, only to notice the hydra behaving in an unexpected manner instead of immediately attacking. Just as the confrontation began, a flute melody echoed through the cavern and caught everyone's attention. Immediately afterward, the blue hydra's movement slowed, creating an opening for Elt and his companions to act. Seizing the opportunity, the group launched a coordinated attack that struck the hydra with full force. A powerful impact followed, and the massive creature collapsed under the combined assault. With the danger gone, relief spread among the party while the small chick proudly celebrated its contribution to the victory. After the battle ended, Elt confirmed that everyone was safe, and thanked the small chick for helping during the fight. Nearby, the dryad expressed her gratitude for the rescue, and appeared relieved by the group's arrival. Soon afterward, Elt learned that the dryad was the leader of the local settlement hidden within the cave. Wanting to continue their exploration, the party accepted her offer to guide them toward the village ahead. Along the way, the companions shared food with the cockatrices, and the creatures happily gathered around as the journey continued deeper into the cavern. While sharing snacks with the villagers, the dryad immediately recognized the herb balls and became excited about their origin. After learning where they came from, she happily confirmed a connection to Tetetoka and recalled receiving similar handmade treats before. In response, Elt explained that Tetetoka was currently living on the surface, which surprised the young dryad. As the discussion continued, she revealed that her presence in the cave was related to an order from the queen. Unfortunately, when asked for details, the dryad could no longer remember the reason and could only repeat that she had forgotten it completely. As the group continued talking, they realized the blue hydra had likely been living in the underground region for hundreds of years. Meanwhile, the dryad explained that the cave settlement had become their home after a major event changed life on the surface. Without warning, excitement spread through the village as news arrived that visitors had finally appeared. Soon, several dryads rushed over to welcome the newcomers and celebrate the rare encounter. While observing the area, the group noticed an abandoned gondola nearby, suggesting that the settlement once had another way to cross the underground river. After discovering the abandoned gondola, the group asked whether it could still be used to cross the river. Upon closer inspection, they found that the stone structure remained intact, but the wooden section had been badly damaged. Further examination revealed that the wood was a rare material that had become extremely difficult to obtain after centuries underground. Since no suitable replacement could be found, repairing the gondola seemed nearly impossible for the villagers. Rather than giving up, Elt studied the remains carefully and decided to recreate the missing parts with his plant magic. Using his plant magic, Elt successfully recreated a piece of the rare wood and attached it to the damaged gondola. Excitement quickly spread among the villagers, and several companions eagerly volunteered to help with the repairs. As the work progressed, the atmosphere became relaxed, allowing everyone to enjoy a brief moment of rest. Meanwhile, a small chick suddenly sensed something unusual and grew concerned about a strange presence nearby. Curious about the reaction, the group gathered around and learned that the creature had detected a mysterious magical energy connected to their journey. While resting inside the tower, the group learned that one section beneath the floor felt strangely different from the surrounding area. About the discovery, the small chick inspected the spot and easily removed a loose floorboard. Beneath the opening, a hidden passage was revealed, surprising everyone and raising questions about the tower's true structure. As the group examined the secret space, the young dryad quickly realized what the underground room represented. Moments later, excitement replaced confusion when Lalatoma arrived, leading to an emotional reunion with her long-separated older sister, Tetetoka. Following their reunion, Tetetoka warmly embraced her younger sister, and the two happily shared memories of the past. Soon afterward, Lalatoma enjoyed the familiar herb balls and was delighted that their taste had not changed over the years. During their conversation, the others were surprised to learn that she had remained healthy despite spending so long underground. As plans for the future were discussed, Lalatoma quickly decided that she wanted to live with Tetetoka on the surface. With the decision made, excitement filled the room as everyone looked forward to the journey ahead and the life waiting beyond the cave. After deciding to return to the surface, Lalatoma asked whether the village could remain together as one family, and Elt gladly agreed. Later, the conversation shifted to the Blue Hydra, prompting Lalatoma to recall even larger creatures appearing from the underground river. Hearing that report, the group realized a far stronger Hydra might still be lurking somewhere in the depths. Rather than panic, Lalatoma revealed a plan involving her music and her ability to influence the mysterious water. Villagers gathered around as she prepared to perform, while anticipation spread through the crowd before the plan began. As preparations were completed, the villagers gathered for a special concert led by Lalatoma, whose musical talent was highly respected among the dryads. Before the performance began, the group learned that only a chosen watermeister could play music, capable of affecting the mysterious waters. Soon a gentle melody echoed through the area, and the audience listened quietly, while the beautiful sound spread across the village. Meanwhile, Elt recognized the tune and remembered hearing the same melody during an earlier encounter. Gradually, the cheerful atmosphere inspired others to join in, and the gathering turned into a lively celebration filled with music and dancing. As the celebration continued, the others encouraged Woods to join the festivities instead of watching from the sidelines. After a moment of hesitation, Woods finally accepted the invitation and eagerly stepped into the gathering. Meanwhile, Naya invited Elt to dance, and he agreed to take part in the cheerful event. Although Elt lacked confidence in his dancing skills, Naya patiently guided him while the music played around them. Before long, the festival grew even livelier as everyone danced together, welcoming the new villagers and strengthening the bonds between their communities. After the celebration ended, Nana returned home with the small chick and apologized for causing extra trouble during the long day. Once inside, the chick helped tidy the room and received heartfelt thanks for its support throughout the recent events. Meanwhile, a vampire woman appeared before Nana, drawing attention with her unusual presence and elegant appearance. Caught off guard, Nana struggled to react, while the visitor waited for an honest opinion about her looks. As their conversation continued, the vampire explained that she rarely appeared before others, making the encounter feel especially important. Later that night, the vampire approached Nana and took the opportunity to have a private conversation with her. After finding a quiet place to sit, the visitor appeared relaxed and prepared to discuss an important matter. To Nana's surprise, the vampire revealed knowledge of a secret, immediately making the situation more serious. Rather than causing trouble, she reassured Nana of her trust and shifted the discussion toward the stuffed animals Nana had been making. In the royal capital, a girl knocked at the royal court of astrologers and introduced herself as Kai Strayhorn. Polka, the leader of the astrologers, dangled from the ceiling in distress, announcing a terrible omen while welcoming the visitor. Polka ignored the panic and instead showed off a new crystal ball technique, insisting it mattered more than the crisis at hand. Kai studied the crystal ball, noting its accuracy sat at only 20%, yet it had still sensed something dark approaching. Polka declared they had to leave immediately, revealing an ill omen had appeared in the water of northern Xanxus. Kai reluctantly agreed, and Polka promised more details soon, along with a raised travel allowance. Kai recalled rumors of a hero from centuries past, and Polka added that the hero Stella had apparently been revived. Polka rambled about the sacred duty of star diviners, before abruptly sensing her occult sensor tingling with warning. Polka offered to send an inspiration set to Kai's home, but Kai firmly declined the strange gift. Elsewhere, a strategy meeting was held for subjugating the last Blue Hydra, said to appear downstream of the underground Great River. Lalatoma had been suppressing the Hydra using taiko drums and music, but the instrument had recently broken and weakened her control. The Blue Hydra had grown to its largest size yet, and Lalatoma insisted on facing it only once fully prepared. The group set the decisive battle for 1 week later, gathering materials for a lightning orb to fight safely. The party toasted to restoring peace to the village once the Blue Hydra was finally defeated. Back home, Lord Elto's cockatrice sisters chirped contentedly, and Stella noted how well the two visitors seemed to get along. Lalatoma offered snacks to the cheerful chicks, who responded eagerly to her attention, amused. She reassured them there were plenty of herb balls, so there was no need to rush. Elto observed that living together underground for so long may have let Lalatoma and the cockatrices understand one another. Lalatoma happily handed out more herb balls, wondering if she too carried a natural skill for taming cockatrices. Elto asked if she often made herb balls, and Lalatoma beamed. Glad the village's cockatrice enjoyed them too, before everyone noticed one chick had grown suspiciously plump. Elto pointed out that the cockatrice chicks had gotten noticeably plumper since arriving in the village. Lalatoma decided exercise was needed to reduce the jiggle before things got worse. She marched the chicks outside, declaring it was time to work off the extra weight. Along the way, Stella reminded her the apples on a nearby tree still needed 3 more days to ripen. The group explained they had come specifically to help the plump chick slim down, with one chick introduced as Titatoka. Lalatoma vowed to stay up 4 nights straight for the chick's sake, while Stella admitted cockatraces really were charming once you got used to them. Nearby, Kai noted that Elto and Stella still had plenty of work ahead after the strategy meeting. The chick threw itself into harvesting baskets with surprising energy, and the group praised how much it helped with the work. Kai wondered aloud whether he could safely leave translation duties to Lalatoma without disrupting things. In the kitchen, a sizzling red dish cooked in a pan, explained as a mass-produced version of the legendary red dragon's claw, known for being spicy. Stella stirred a pot full of noodles, insisting the dish wasn't finished yet. She introduced the noodles as udon, a specialty from her hometown, prompting her daughters to marvel at how thick they were compared to pasta. Stella agreed the noodles were unusually thick, though Kai still struggled to understand exactly how they differed from pasta. After a pause, Stella joked that it was a joke, explaining the thick noodles actually paired well with a rich, chewy soup. Confident in her cooking, Stella admitted it had been a while since she last made udon, though she reassured everyone she trusted her recipe. Elsewhere, Kai sat quietly working on paperwork, sighing over the effort involved. His father, wearing a pumpkin-like mask, praised the finished blueprint as good work over tea. Kai explained the drawing was actually shaped like a friend, revealing blueprints for a new building meant for the cockatrices. More chicks arrived, introduced as Layla, Jessica, and Nana, and the family agreed something noticeable would suit the village better, especially with cockatrices already living there. Back in the kitchen, Stella proudly served the finished dish, and Kai confirmed it truly was red udon. Marukan explained chopsticks were something she had learned about in table manner class, though her hometown had no real custom of using them. Yugo admitted he wanted to try using chopsticks too, and Marukan revealed she had bought several spare sets from Zanza's, since one alone hadn't felt like enough. Yugo asked to be taught, and moments later he was slurping noodles with confident precision. Marukan praised his skill, joking it was simply the power of hunger driving him. The chick declared the vegetables delicious, and Kai agreed, complimenting how well stewed everything turned out. Stella noted that eating noodles this way might actually work better for large quantities, since the red dragon's claw usually demanded precise control over heat and timing. Pleased with the results, Kai decided the dish deserved a spot on the Adventurers Guild restaurant menu. Elsewhere, the cockatrices happily soaked in a mud bath, sighing that nothing beat the warmth and comfort of it. Lalatoma, busy performing her water deity duties, teased them for enjoying themselves so much. Kai asked how much water she could produce at once, and Lalatoma revealed the staff she carried was a treasured family heirloom. She estimated she could fill about 30 buckets worth without overdoing it, gesturing to a large stone basin nearby. Elto was amazed by the number, though Lalatoma admitted it would still take considerable time. She added that good soil and water mattered greatly in life, prompting Elto to muse that a hot spring would make the village even better. Lalatoma had never heard of hot springs before, and asked curiously what they were. Elto explained they were beneficial for health, drawing minerals from rocks and earth as the water heated. Recalling her academy days, Lalatoma remembered making homemade hot springs herself back at school. She explained that the local water was naturally soft, and blending various soils and minerals had once let her create spring-like water, even earning pocket money with Analia's help. Impressed by her determination, Elto asked if she could recreate the process again sometime when she had free time, and she agreed. 3 days later, the group noticed a chill in the air, and a voice called out that Lord Elt had been found, revealing knights had arrived at the back of the village. Confused, since no monsters were known to be nearby, the group hurried to investigate, spotting the crest of a black-covered book marking the mysterious Knight Order's banner. Elt explained the newcomers belonged to one of the kingdom's 30 Knight Orders, warriors bound by tradition and history, identified as the Black Book Knights, one of the kingdom's 6 great orders. He clarified they were far from hostile, since the Black Book Knights received considerable support from the Nagash family, making them natural allies. A sheepfolk girl knight stepped forward, asking directly if he was Lord Elt Nagash, ruler of the territory. Elt confirmed it, and asked what business brought her to his lands, quietly sensing considerable magical power radiating from her. She introduced herself as Kai Strayhorn, vice commander of the Black Book Knights, presenting a formal letter requesting permission to pass through and rest within his territory due to an urgent matter. After reading it carefully, Elt found nothing suspicious about the paper, format, or seal, and agreed it was safe to accept. Relieved, Kai expressed her gratitude as Elt promised to arrange proper accommodations and meals for her group. Curious, Elt asked whether they had brought the Almirage traveling with them, prompting a fluffy horned rabbit-like creature to appear at Kai's side. Kai explained the ones accompanying them were a little shy but completely safe, gently reassuring the group. She added that Almirage were faster and tougher than horses, making them valuable messengers her family had relied on for generations. Though Elt admitted this was his first time riding one and noted most lords still felt wary around them. Undeterred by any danger, Elt knelt down completely charmed by the creature, insisting it looked far too cute to be any kind of threat. A sealed document passed into Elto's hands, marked with the royal court astrologer's insignia. Pio pressed him for details, curious whether this urgent dispatch had come straight from the king. Words tumbled out awkwardly as the young elf girl tried to explain the mission. "Another business trip already?" Pio muttered, still recovering from the last one. Smoke curled into the sky as Kai's group came into view, calling out that they'd returned. At the sound of her name, Pio's face brightened. Kai introduced herself as the Black Book Knight's vice captain, while Elto identified his companion as Stella, the celebrated hero of Xanxus. Disbelief crossed Kai's face at the revelation. Stella, meanwhile, brushed off the title, claiming she was nothing more than an ordinary adventurer. Rumors of Stella had apparently reached the royal capital, Kai admitted. Shyness crept into her voice as she asked for an autograph. "Can you really tell anything from a signature?" Elto wondered aloud. Kai thanked Stella anyway, though her expression stayed skeptical. The Adventurers Guild had already confirmed Stella was alive, so this was purely precautionary. Records kept by the court astrologers would simply be cross-checked against it. Curious onlookers, not trouble, were behind the fuss, at least according to Kai. Pio wondered if occult fans might be involved instead. Off to the side, an Almirage sat slumped and dejected. Noticing this, Pio asked gently if it was thirsty before hurrying off to check. Something caught Stella's attention among the gathered creatures. She asked whether she might be allowed to pet them. Confidence colored her voice as she assured the others she'd manage fine. Elta warned, however, that strong magic would only make the Almirage wary around her. Slowly Stella exhaled, and her magic visibly diminished. Sensing the change, the Almirage relaxed and leaned into her touch. "Incredible," Kai remarked, amazed that Stella could suppress her own magic just for this. Proper manners apparently were the key to enjoying the fluff. At Stella's request, Elta conjured a handful of carrots with a snap of magic. Delighted squeals rose from the Almirage crowding around them. Shyly, Pio asked if she could offer carrots too. Elta agreed without hesitation, letting her join in. Chaos broke out as the Almirage jostled for their share, one accidentally smacking Pio in the scramble. Hierarchy mattered among Almirage, Kai explained. Having one eat first served as a way of testing for poison and confirming rank. Gratitude filled the Almirage's voice as Elto promised more carrots were on the way. "Line up," he called out, coaxing the group into order. A soft chirp sounded nearby, drawing everyone's gaze to a small chick-like creature. Elto laughed, noting that monsters had clearly already made this village their home. Sudden commotion broke out as more figures approached the group. Kai's eyes went wide with terror. "See cockatrice," she stammered, mistaking the small creatures entirely. Confusion followed as her companions asked what she meant, only for Kai to insist louder that it was, in fact, a cockatrice standing before them. Without warning, Kai collapsed to the ground, motionless. Alarm spread through the group as they scrambled to check on her. Poison and magic held no power over cockatrices, Stella explained calmly. Creatures even seasoned mages learned to fear. An old trick called playing dead existed for exactly this kind of encounter, Stella continued, admitting it was outdated but still occasionally effective. Somewhere in her past, cockatrices had clearly left a mark. Trauma took many forms, Elta mused, noting that the world held all sorts of unexpected fears worth respecting. Despite how harmless these particular creatures seemed, surprise lingered among the group at discovering someone who still remembered such an old technique. Pio protested indignantly, insisting she wasn't a mere chick but a genuine cockatrice, chirping her frustration at the little ones nearby. Curiosity colored the exchange as Elta wondered whether they ought to relocate Kai somewhere more comfortable while she recovered. Farewells were exchanged as Pio and her small companions bid goodbye, cheerful chirps trailing behind them as they wandered off. Attention shifted back to business inside, as Elta recalled something from earlier. The divination had apparently warned of a bad omen involving water. Astonishment crossed the elf girl's face upon hearing this confirmed. Elta revealed they'd already made progress investigating what seemed to be a blue hydra. Budget concerns came up next, with someone noting wryly that the astrologers hadn't held back on their blunt remarks, though the generous compensation offered some comfort. Their role remained limited to warnings under normal circumstances, the girl clarified, though support would follow immediately should an emergency arise. Countermeasures against the Blue Hydra were already underway, Elto confirmed, prompting a thoughtful nod from his companion. Search magic, Elto explained. Specialized in investigating monsters and magical items, exactly the kind of ability suited to their current problem. Keeping Lalatoma out of danger mattered most, one of them stressed, adding that even a rough location would suffice for their purposes. Anything buried beneath earth or water, however, proved difficult to track. Cooperation was requested for the duration of the operation, with Elto confirming they'd need to remain in the village until preparations were complete. Payment, it turned out, would come directly from the royal court astrologers, given their sponsorship of the request, generous terms by any measure. A written note, confirming the divination's accuracy, was requested as a courtesy, alongside a curious inquiry about the Almirage's habit of wandering freely through the village on their walks. Excitement bubbled up as Pio peppered questions about ordinary bunnies, whether they were fluffy, how big they grew, and if they truly loved carrots as much as she'd heard. Monsters rarely appeared around these parts, Elto explained, though he admitted it was nice that Wugo turned out to be such a gentle creature, munching carrots contentedly the whole time. Curiosity turned toward books, with someone asking whether such creatures were even listed in the encyclopedia at all. Pages flipped past as Elto searched, eventually finding an entry describing their main habitat east of the village. The illustration looked oddly vicious, prompting nervous murmurs about how frightening it seemed compared to reality. Talk turned to daily walks, and someone suggested asking Kai since she took the creatures out regularly. "I want to see one," came an eager voice, insisting the real thing looked far cuter than any drawing, deep in slumber. Kai muttered about cockatrices. Her dream shifted to a training ground, where a wolf-like instructor declared the start of official cockatrice training, insisting the creatures were gentle herbivores. Scattered chicks celebrated nearby as baskets of strawberries, melons, and grapes appeared before them, chirping with delight at the seasonal feast laid out. A booming voice demanded attention, urging everyone to etch into memory just how powerful cockatrices truly were. Chicks cheered upon recognizing the instructor, calling him the smooth-headed guy. Moments later, he charged forward with startling force, leaving onlookers stunned that he'd actually been stopped mid-rush. Petting continued cheerfully among the chicks, their contented chirps filling the air as everyone admired how smooth and pleasant they felt. A stern reminder followed: should anyone ever encounter a cockatrice, playing dead was the proper response. The gathered trainees answered in unison, vowing to remember the lesson. Back in the dream, Kai patted a small cockatrice, murmuring its name half asleep, still processing the strange encounter. Startled awake, Kai realized it had all been a dream. Restless, she decided a walk might help clear her mind. Stepping out into a moonlit village, footsteps echoed nearby, revealing nothing more than a mascot costume rustling in the dark. Relief turned to panic as Pio's glowing eyes appeared, sending Kai reeling with dizziness at the sight. Determined to shake off her nerves, Kai turned back toward her room, insisting that she knew the creatures meant no harm despite her lingering unease. Gratitude filled her as she found the bed left open for her, the Almirage having generously made space. Settling in beside it, Kai murmured a soft goodnight before drifting back to sleep. Iskamina gently woke Mogu from a short nap, and the sleepy bear admitted it truly reminded her of her old student days. Mogue explained she used to drink this same sweet potato juice constantly, whenever she was buried under mountains of schoolwork long ago. Mogu thanked Iskamina warmly for the drink, then worried aloud that Anaria never listened no matter how often she was told to rest. Mogu admired the glowing lightning god orb, while Iskamina explained that crushing an Almirage claw into it would finish the potion completely. Iskamina asked Mogu to crush a few more materials stored inside the kitchen shelves, before they finished their alchemy work for the day. A fluffy chick named Pio hummed happily nearby, while Dia teased that its feathers looked messy like terrible bedhead this early morning. Kai remarked that Dia seemed genuinely excited for the outing, while the wooden golem beside him observed that she looked especially fired up. Kai prepared a raincoat just in case the unpredictable weather turned bad, since the sky outside looked rather uncertain that early morning. The group discovered a whole cluster of Almirage resting together near the cottage, and Dia suddenly appeared to fall asleep right there. Kai explained once again that Daa was not actually unconscious, since she simply falls asleep involuntarily whenever a cockatrice appears somewhere nearby. Kai guessed that a cockatrice must have wandered somewhere through the area earlier, drawing every single Almirage there for the same reason. Despite the strange mystery, Dia decided they should still greet the animals first, delighted by how adorable the bunny-like almirage looked. The group shared a quiet breakfast together, letting Daya and Kai taste the almirage's food while everyone enjoyed the peaceful morning gathering. The wooden golem gently offered food to the chattering little chicks, who happily accepted the treats being handed out among the group. Kai noted that the animals seemed strangely drawn to his wooden brother's rough texture, while Pio praised how wonderfully soft everything felt. Pio proudly claimed to take excellent care of its feathers every single day, prompting a curious almirage to rub against it affectionately. Kai revealed that he bathes every single day without fail and always washes up thoroughly, impressing the almirage sitting curiously beside him. Dia was amazed to learn that Kai could actually understand and speak with Pio, asking eagerly what kinds of things they discussed. A jealous almirage sulked dramatically after hearing Pio's feathers praised as remarkably fluffy, until Dia's father suddenly called out for his attention. Dia admitted the paralysis had actually helped her earlier, since the surrounding cockatrices left her genuinely puzzled about their strange sudden gathering. "That sounds rough," Kai admitted, listening as Dia explained how it felt like pure reflex whenever the almirage kicked her back home. Pretending to put Dia to bed seemed like the safest plan, Lord Elto suggested, letting her quietly follow behind them afterward. Instead, never once had he expected Dia could actually speak with the almirage. Lord Elto mused, wondering if she truly was the legendary talking cockatrice. "Go put Kai to bed for a bit," Lord Elto instructed, while Stella reassured everyone that things should probably turn out fine regardless. With a quiet goodnight to the almirage, Dia heard Pio agree that resting now was likely for the best given everything happening. Rather than worry Dia further, Lord Elto proposed handling Pio's walk themselves while touring the peaceful village together that quiet morning. Curious about Kai's preferences, Lord Elto asked whether there was somewhere specific he wanted to visit during their relaxed village tour. Bursting with excitement, Kai declared he wanted to see the lake, since even underground cockatrices apparently hadn't discovered that scenic hidden spot. Heading toward the lake sounded perfect to Dia, who enthusiastically confirmed she was completely on board with Kai's sudden idea. Apologizing for stopping them so abruptly, Lord Elto explained his hurry while Kai reassured him that everything was perfectly fine. 2 lightning orbs had finally been completed, Lord Elto proudly announced, noting how different they looked compared to ordinary potions. Noticing the dark circles under his eyes, Dia grew concerned and asked whether Lord Elto was truly doing all right after everything. "Don't push yourself," Pio scolded gently, insisting that proper skincare mattered just as much as finishing important alchemical work quickly. Flames practically visible behind him, Anaria teased, prompting Lord Elto to admit he would rest briefly before continuing his tasks. A healthy vegetable lifestyle sounded ideal, Pio suggested, and Lord Elto agreed at once, promising Iskamina would juice everything soon. Holding onto 1 lightning orb made sense for Stella, Kai explained, since throwing it whenever needed would trigger its effect instantly determined to succeed. The wooden golem promised his best effort, especially since wood apparently offered the greatest power for that orb. Warmly greeting Kai and Dia, Mogu mentioned planning a relaxing bath, after successfully delivering the Thunder God orbs to Lord Elto. Something about mixing various ingredients into water came to Lalatoma's mind, prompting her to ask curiously about the mysterious wooden tub. Wanting honest feedback first, the dryads requested trying the mixture themselves before sharing their genuine impressions with everyone else present. Startled by the sudden shout, Moog explained that Jessica had tricked her into it, leaving little choice in the matter, while Lord Elto declared human experimentation something he could never approve of. Bursting into laughter, Anaria admitted she was only kidding, insisting Jessica genuinely wanted to make their village a better place for everyone living there. Offering to try one as a snack, Anaria accepted gratefully while Mogu shyly confirmed she would indeed enjoy some herb balls too. Announcing the hot water was finally ready, Mogu proudly declared everything from that point forward officially belonged to her responsibility, calling it their new luxury item first. Anaria explained that success here could eventually extend this magic toward agricultural applications as well. Impressed by the display, Lalatoma thanked Mogu warmly, praising how her water magic genuinely seemed capable of making everything work properly. Questioning the method, Lalatoma wondered whether dropping ingredients from above truly mattered, though Mogu insisted using a spoon would look far less elegant. Reassuring everyone present, Moog explained that Iskamina had skillfully mastered mineral-based compounds, having honed those techniques specifically to help pay tuition fees. Deciding to test the mixture directly, Lalatoma dipped her arm into the water, while Mogu encouraged everyone to give the experiment a proper try. Describing the sensation carefully, Lalatoma admitted the water tingled slightly, though the feeling itself remained surprisingly pleasant. rather than uncomfortable or alarming. Expressing quiet concern, Lalatoma worried that this particular treatment might still be too soon for the rest of her group entirely. Curious about the term, Mogu asked what exactly dryad power meant, prompting Lalatoma to explain. It merely complicated channeling energy without causing real harm. Struggling to clarify further, Lalatoma compared it to the power of the earth itself, though Mogu clearly failed to grasp the concept. Feeling suddenly energized, Lalatoma admitted the bathwater seemed to fill her completely, prompting Kai to caution against doing anything reckless afterward. Explaining calmly, Lalatoma noted this blend was simply an original mixture of bath additives, unlikely to produce any dangerously instant effects whatsoever. Squeezing something tightly between her palms, Lalatoma groaned as magic power visibly surged, startling both Kai and Anaria watching nearby. Celebrating the sudden result, Lalatoma cheerfully announced that her dryad power had noticeably increased following this unexpected burst of magical energy. Elto walked through the forest with Pio and Q chirping happily beside him as they neared the wide lake, and the young girl cheered that it looked truly beautiful. Standing near the rocky shore, Elto mentioned that Tatetoka had once been buried right around that very spot, and the fluffy creature imagined resting there forever, with such a peaceful view. The soil felt unusually soft and rich with nutrients, leading the girl to wonder if that explained why Tatetoka shared the same wonderful taste as the surrounding land itself. Elto gave everyone some free time to relax near the lake, warning them gently not to wander too far away, and the group cheered with sudden excitement at the freedom. Using his plant magic, Elto summoned fresh patches of grass across the ground before lying down for a quick nap, while Wood settled comfortably beside him enjoying the greenery. When the small girl asked if she could join them and relax nearby, Elto agreed right away, telling her to go ahead and enjoy the calm lake breeze too. As wind drifted gently across the water, Wood remarked that the breeze felt really nice, and the girl agreed the lake air was wonderful compared to living underground before. She admitted that feeling open sunlight was completely different from her old life underground, while several PO creatures nearby stared intently at Elto with wide sparkling eyes. The girls noticed the PO flock had been acting that way ever since Elto grew fresh lawn out of nothing, joking that they seemed totally fascinated by their curious lord. They remembered how carrots had appeared straight from his hands the day before, leaving the fluffy creatures endlessly confused by how easily Elto could make things grow. The instant more carrots appeared, the PO flock erupted with excitement, and Wood teased Elto for suddenly becoming a total superstar among the hungry vegetable-loving creatures. Suddenly a strange whooshing sound echoed across the sky, and the girl pointed upward, asking if the shape approaching them quickly was actually some kind of bird. Elto realized it was Nana flying straight toward their group, wondering aloud if vampires were supposed to dislike water, while the girls affectionately nicknamed her Rain PO instead. He noticed it had finally begun to rain, though Wood reassured him calmly that it was still just a light drizzle not worth worrying about right now. Startled by the sudden shift, one of the girls shouted that the lake was now pouring rain heavily, catching Elto and the others completely by surprise. Nana PO dashed wildly through the storm, already soaked from the growing downpour, while the girls worried aloud about her unfortunate timing flying straight into the rain. Wood admitted the rain actually felt refreshing since it was his very first time experiencing a rainy lake, though the storm seemed to be drifting closer toward them. The girls explained that storms rarely lasted long in that region, calling it a new experience for the children. While Wood confessed he enjoyed the calming scent of rain, Nana wobbled unsteadily through the air, growing shakier as the pouring rain intensified further, though Elto assured everyone they were still managing just fine for now. Despite Nana PO's usual toughness, the girls feared she might drop straight into the lake, and one shouted that the rain was growing even stronger by the second. Everyone panicked, shouting that Nana was surely going to die, while the girls insisted her advanced vampire bodysuit should be able to handle almost any dangerous situation. The PO flock rushed forward, chirping insistently that they couldn't ignore someone in trouble, splashing eagerly into the water despite everyone wondering if cockatrices could even swim properly. Elto quickly summoned a thick cluster of leaves using his plant magic, instructing Stella to spread it out exactly where Nana was expected to land. Stella jumped forward, gripping the leafy cushion tightly, determined not to fall behind the others as she raced toward the water's edge. Suddenly they noticed someone running impossibly across the surface of the lake, and the girls gasped realizing it was actually Nana's mother approaching them. The falling rain gradually grew weaker, and Elta guessed she must be using some form of levitation magic to glide smoothly across the water. They watched anxiously as she landed in the perfect spot, though the strange smoke trailing behind her still hadn't stopped completely, worrying everyone nearby. With a sudden swoosh, she dropped safely onto the leafy cushion below, bouncing gently before landing with a soft thump among the gathered leaves. Just as everyone relaxed, thinking she'd landed safely, a massive explosion suddenly erupted from the lake, and Nana cried out for her mother in alarm. Once the smoke cleared, they pulled her up gently, relieved she seemed okay, but Stella suddenly rushed over shouting that Lord Elto needed to hear urgent news. A powerful surge of mana burst violently from the lake, and Elto immediately suspected the dangerous force could only belong to the legendary Blue Hydra. They realized the water's movement had noticeably slowed down, and guessed it must have rained earlier in the village, soaking the entire surrounding area completely. Elto declared firmly that since Stella and Nana were already nearby, they would simply make their stand and fight the creature right there. Worried they were still far from the Blue Hydra, Elto asked Marchosias and Dia to stay behind and look after Lalatoma, while they left immediately. One of the girls suggested riding the Almirage for speed, insisting Lord Elto climb aboard quickly since the situation had become a genuine emergency. They explained the little Almirage had trained hard and could easily handle 2 riders lying face down together. Despite Wood's obvious hesitation about the plan, the group bounded swiftly across rocky terrain, leaping over a river ahead as the Almirage carried them forward with surprising strength and speed. More rain began falling steadily, worrying Elta that they were still far from reaching the Blue Hydra and needed to close the distance quickly. Stella reassured him gently that he still had leftover mana remaining, insisting they would definitely need his powerful whip for the coming battle. Realizing she meant the Pechi Pechi whip, Pio bravely grabbed hold of another Pio and swung forward recklessly, determined to help however possible. Pio slammed hard into the Blue Hydra's massive body, but the attack only dealt partial damage that clearly wasn't enough to stop it. Elto stared in disbelief, asking Nana if she had really been flying earlier, still struggling to accept what she was suggesting next. Stella explained that combining Elto's magic with her lightning orbs and Wood's strength should get them into the perfect position soon enough. She thanked everyone gratefully, while Pio reluctantly agreed to be thrown, sighing as it braced itself for whatever came next. With a mighty swing, Wood hurled Pio through the air, launching it screaming toward the Blue Hydra with tremendous force behind the throw. Pio crashed into the creature and bounced off hard, and Elto admitted he never imagined someone imitating a cockatrice could get launched that way, calling it impressive S-rank adventurer behavior.